Peace, yo, Jalisco. What's up, cuz?
What's going on with you? It's done with you. What's going on, everybody? Hope everybody having a good weekend. You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah,
know,
peace to everybody in the chat. The people that's present. I see some people in the building. Let go, let go. Yeah, we got cousin Shonda and cousin Anthony in the building. We
all right,
appreciate y'all support because y'all really rock with us. We appreciate y'all.
right.
Yeah, so happy
Wish,
Indigenous Peoples Month 365. So, if y'all seen the title, basically, we are in celebration of Indigenous Peoples History Month. We are celebrating by recapping some of our greatest interviews with powerful people in our community, in our Indigenous community. Uh, of course, y'all know I'm a pass the talking stick to my cousin in a second, but these are two of my favorites. But um,
oh, that's your two favorites.
yeah, it's my two
What what
favorites.
why
Yeah,
did it why that's your two favorites?
because okay, Chief Eagle Elk, I've been rocking with him for a while, and he used to come on my lives, on my YouTube channel, as a spiritualist, and I do spiritual readings. I'm a spiritual messenger, and so he used to just show up randomly and in support. You know, I really did appreciate that. So he's hands down one of my favorites, and of course, uh, I know he's officially Yo Miku, but he's also unofficially my Miku. He's one of my favorites too. I rocks bodyguard with Miku Seiko.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that's what
huh?
I say. That's what's up.
Yeah, yeah. It's my family. Hey, I came down there with you. I met you there at the Yamassee Tribe of Seminoles Reservation for the Green Corn. And Miku had been telling me a long time ago to come to Green Corn. And I finally showed up. So it was
Yeah.
awesome. So that's why I rocks with him. He's one of my favorites. What you got to say, cuz?
Oh no. Let me click this right here. Um. Yeah, I say I like the interviews too. We got to get Eagle Elk where we can go ahead on and do the part two. When he's able to. You know.
Yeah, with
All
that
right. All right. All right. All right.
indigenous martial arts.
Yeah.
So if y'all new to our channel, check out our channel, check out the playlist, especially go to the lives, and you can view all the lives that we have on our channel. You can go to the community page, check out our links. We also have merch if you want to support us. We screaming, press that like button, subscribe, subscribe. We ain't going all hard like that, but if you want to support us, you can purchase some merch. All right. So anything you want to say before I press play? This is our live, our video from our channel. So we don't gotta do no copyright
Hey, you
infringement
know what?
shit.
You know what? We got a whole lot of shit to do a count back or countdown from 2024 for New Year's. Do
Oh
like a
yeah,
New Year's shit.
yeah, yeah,
Wow. Like we
yeah,
can ask y'all what's your best segment. Your best show.
yeah, yeah, we can do
Yeah,
that.
we did all the motherfucking shows. Damn.
Yeah, we did a nice amount. We sure did.
Maybe we need to do like a raffle for those that be in attendance where they could get a merch. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the year. What you think about that, cuz?
Yeah, they could get while they watching, our podcast, they can sip their tea, their coffee, their black drink, so they can have a coffee mug or a water bottle. Uh, I believe, yeah, we have water bottles and mugs and shirts. There are some uh sweatshirt, hoodies, and whole jogging suit. Y'all need to go to our page and check out our store. 'Cause we got some
Mm-hmm.
merch. Don't sleep on our merch. But yeah, we can start off by uh, giving something where they can drink, some hot cocoa, a hot tidy, whatever they want to put in a mug.
Right.
We can give away that. Um, yeah, we sure can. What's the premise to that? Cause I know some people that's been rocking with us, but it's several people that's been rocking with us, like steady, like consistently.
Yeah. Well. I know I saw one thing where you can actually ask like a question, like a trivia question,
Oh yeah,
and
we
they
can
get
do a poll. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And whoever get it right, like we can pick some questions from each of the videos, right? But that would be kind of hard for them to go look at each video to try to find the answer to.
We'll
Well,
we'll come up with the poll, but that's one
yeah,
thing that y'all look forward to. We're gonna give away some merch. Count down to the Gregorian New Year. So,
yeah.
anything else, cuz, before we dive in?
No, well, with the further ado, go ahead on and press play, and I hope the people enjoy. And hopefully they have some questions to ask or, at the end of the session.
All right.
All right.
Can you hear it, cuz?
I can hear it loud and clear.
Okay, I just want to make sure everybody in the chat, can y'all hear it? It's our time to rise. Young Horse and Jones, Yamassee, Seminoles will live forever. This ain't just a song, it's a battle for the truth with a reggae rhythm. We'll make a move. We fight for recognition. We won't. Yeah, it cuts out for a minute because I had some difficulties at that point. But I'm gonna go to the beginning of it. I just wanted y'all to get a glimpse of Miku's artists and uh, the songs that he wrote for his artists. Miss Harjo. So y'all support her.
Cleopas Nicole.
Check out his YouTube. Oh, right. So, in respect,
And it would be better has had a birthday.
I guess I went to CO Halito. How you doing,
I'm
cuz?
sure. What's going on with you? Estamos aquí. Estamos. What's going on?
I don't know why there's an echo. I'm gonna try to fix it. It's the echo. Oh, they
How's
dirty.
everybody in the chat? How's everybody in the chat? Hense, Hense. Hense es que. Amy Healy. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, thank you, Wado Yukoki, Shona Bishi, everybody for tuning in. I'm excited about our podcast today. What about you, cuz?
Yeah, we hold off last week.
Well, you already know what it was. It was serious health.
Yes.
Serious health.
And I'm
Yes.
glad all is well. I'm glad all is well.
Right. Yes. Yes. So our special guest is in the building. Cuz you want to do the honors and I'm going to add my.
All right. I know y'all see up there, Miku, Seku, HADJO-GENTLE of the Yamassee, tribe of Seminole. He's also a family member of mine, my little cousin, and he just had a birthday, so welcome to the 50th club.
Yes. Yes. Welcome.
I gotta send him send him an AARP card.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Miku.
Yeah. And he's a firefighter. That's his occupation. But he is a jack of all trades. He's also a music producer. Um, he's also an author and a writer. He all his accolades and everything speaks for itself. He has so many that I can't even much go down the line with it. So, is he in the backdrop already?
Oh yeah. He's in the building. You didn't hear me. He's in the building.
He's in the building. He's in the building.
The
He's
hidden
in the building.
eagle has landed.
The screen will
Yes.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun show, and it would be better if y'all give us your participation as well. Ask questions and be respectable with your questions. That's all we ask. Come in love, and you get love back. So with no further ado, be Maku.
Yes, I want to add
Come
something.
on in.
Before we bring
Go
me on, I gotta say that I have honor and respect, big respect. When I first saw him on social media, and I'm like, wait a minute, he looked like my people. He looked like my people. I had a strong sense of pride. So I'm coming to y'all with honor and respect for Miku Seku HADJO-GENTLE. Like Cuz said, he's a jack of all trades. He also check out his YouTube. He also has like a indigenous cartoon where he teaches Hapiti. He's been in numerous documentaries. He's inscribed a book. He's a producer. He's the principal chief of the Yamassee tribe of Seminoles, and I am giving a warm welcome, a fiery welcome to Miku Seku.
Chintamo, can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
we hear you loud and clear.
That's what I was more concerned about was the audio. Thank y'all so much for the introduction, my family. Of course, you was customary.
Heliopus, Maku.
Yeah. Chintamo hitoklo. Ani miki siku holam hachutolama Yamassee HADJO. Miku Yamassee yakte. Fuse arepaka abiyaka HADJO tukasi matle Seminole yakte. Traditional for us just to introduce ourselves, and is what I do every time I do any speaking engagement or whatnot. I am Chief Seku HADJO of the Yamassee Indian tribe, the head chief of the tribe and nation. I am a descendant of two head chiefs of the Seminoles, one being the warrior and medicine man Sam Jones, the other one being John Hicks on my mother's side. So I have two dynamics going on. But as y'all said, it really hit home that I am 50 now. Like I don't feel 50. You know what I mean? Like it's like I think I'll be there when we get to 60. I think like 60 is it because in the European scriptures they say 120 years that period to say you're gonna be here. So it's like me and Steve Warrior said when we get to 60, then we'll accept being that half a century old thing. But thank y'all so much, and of course I wanted to be here on my birthday, and I wanted to bless y'all, my family, to be able to talk about me on my 50th birthday. It didn't work out that way, but it is what it is. But thank y'all so much.
Yes.
Oh, my pleasure. And I'd like to say peace and greetings to everybody in the chat. Please like and subscribe and share this with your family and your friends. This very historical for us. You know what I'm saying? To have
we want for the history book. We want for the history book.
A living chief that's not that's not on the other side, you know what I'm saying? That's live. And also in the history book, you know what I'm saying? So yeah. Right. Somebody that looked like you and I.
Yeah. I think if we started out with just that alone, because we as people of color, and I'm gonna use that word very loosely, we as people of color have had many different role models throughout our lives. Us being in that 50 club, we can't understand the dynamics of what our parents and their role models were, and those who accomplished many great things before ourselves. But even within that, having that aspect sometimes is overwhelming to know that, yes, I have been in documentaries. I am in a history book in South Carolina. I'm one of the only chiefs of color that has been and put into a history book that the children are actually learning about. That is a dynamic within itself. And that's an accomplishment that I would think, I don't care whether you understand who we are or believe who we are or not, but I think that's an accomplishment that needs to be rewarded, because that's just not me. That is not about me. That is about the Yamassee people as a whole. That is an accomplishment for anyone who identifies themselves as a Seminole, a Yamassee, a Creek, a Muskogee, a Freedman, however you identify yourself. That is an accomplishment for all of us, you know what I mean? Because they are not putting people that look like us in the history books. So, that sometimes gets overwhelming, because that reality does set in. And it's like, how do you top that? You know what I mean? Like, how do you top that?
Yeah, that's monumental. Like, that spoke volumes to me. Like, it just in people's eyes, that solidifies you. Like, they don't just put anybody in a history book. Let's be clear. So it's official. I just gotta add that.
All right.
And then another thing is, it actually gives people of color to start doing their investigation and their research on their family to see who is who, And you have people that do their genealogy, you have people that do the DNA test and everything, and the information the information in the investigation is endless. It never stops.
Well, let's do one better. Let's take people back in time, and let's talk about 13 years ago. We'll start with 13 years ago, when before all of this now that just seems to be normal to people didn't exist. And myself and a few others was talking about the history of the people of color and how we were misclassified and how we were who we were. Let's talk about that and being on that island alone, because that's where we were. We were on the island alone. We were talking about this history, and there was a lot that came with that. There was a lot of ridicule. There was a lot of backbiting. There was a lot of negativity and hate that had to be dealt with. And for the most part, when you're in my position, I was dealing with it alone. This is before, I was bringing family members and tribal members in, and probably, before, you would step up and bull and start being security for me and things like that. It was a lonesome feeling. I'm not going to say scary at all, because I'm a warrior. I'm built for this. But it was a feeling of being a person on the island. And people don't understand that when you research and you go back and you look at all the YouTube videos and you look at that, you had several different dynamics when it came to me. I was and I am still a music producer, songwriter, and all this other stuff, because that's where I came from, as far as the industry that I was in. But then when it came to the history and the knowledge of our people, I was one of the very few people that was out there on the YouTube, on the platform, putting yourself out there, talking about what is now becoming common knowledge. So I'm happy to see the progression of where we are right now, to the point I don't have to talk about the history anymore. I don't have to talk about and prove to people who we are anymore. I don't even think that's a conversation we need to be having at this point, about who we are and if are there Indians who are Black Indians. No, it's been proven time and time again. You got great people like Dan Calloway, you got the research guy, you got our own people, Issa Wadi, you have engine mechanics, with Darius. You have so many different people now.
I was just trying to show this picture.
Oh, okay. But you have so many different people now that are out here in the forefront, TikTok, C3 Mommy, it's so many signs of consciousness for it's so many guys that I follow now that I'm so happy that I can call my nieces and nephews and family that are now taking on the fight of correcting history, improving it, and showing that the history that we talked about and what we've been talking about all those years is valid. If you choose to overlook this now, it's just because you choose to do it. But now that the paradigm has changed, if y'all noticed, because of conversations I had years ago, and I talked about our red brothers and sisters. And let me say this before I even get to this conversation, that nothing I'm saying will be a negative connotation on my brothers and sisters that are considered the red man or the modern day Native Americans, because I have many brothers and sisters who are my family, who come to us 100%. That's always known who we were and who they are to us. Okay, so I want to make sure I'm clear on that. But now it just seems even more intriguing and even more fascinating to see the other side of our indigenous bloodlines now coming into their reality of their origin story and who they are and the history before they knew it. Now with the invent of Google and the research that everybody's doing, now they're coming into understanding what we've been saying for a while. Like you haven't been the only ones here on this planet when it comes to North America's concern, that we're the first people. So I'm fascinated to see where this is going. I'm fascinated to see that a lot of our people now are starting to unify and come together. There's still, of course, a lot of ignorance out there, hypocrisy. There's still a lot of people who still take on, the old colonization thought process and mindset of that racism. But for the most part, I think with what you all are doing and the wealth of information that you all are trying to share, Paul and Christina, that, we will overcome that as well. But there's still now the dynamics of the wording, how we want to identify ourselves and how we want to be labeled and how we want to be, seen within the indigenous community. Are you Black Seminole? Are you a Black Cherokee? Are you a Black Creek? It's now those words that are now being misnomered and used now, because we can't deny that you don't exist, but now you're just identified as a Black and a Black and a Black, when before there was never those words ever used. There was never a word called, or there was never a tribe or people ever called Black Seminoles. You were just a Seminole, and so now it's tackling those dynamics and understanding, that reality, which we have to start changing the conversation and stop falling victim to these words of being Afro, Black, or whatever the word is, or the pre-word is to whatever you want to call yourself, because these words didn't exist. If you were in Barbados or Cuba, you was not considered a Black Cuban. You were not a Black Barbadian. You were not that's like calling a Jamaican a Black Jamaican. You were just what you were. And so we need to understand the same dynamics. I was just having a conversation with Steve Warrior, and he told me to tell y'all Chintamo. We were just talking about the use of wording and how people have used words throughout the past. And so the best example I can give you, because this is a situation now that is coming to fruition, and it's a part of that new fight now, because now we don't have to worry about were there Indians that look like me, or did they look like us, they were identified as copper tone Indians. Now the dynamics is we accept you all, but you were Black Seminoles, and you were Black this, and y'all were Negroes that interjected, and so you're still trying to put that African tie into us and still separate us from our nationality. So now let's talk about that. Let's talk about, we didn't call ourselves, nor the history called us Black Seminoles or Black Yamassee, right? And that was the dynamic that I was trying to get people to understand as Yamassee, because remember, the word Creek didn't exist. Muskogee did not exist as a tribe of people. That was a language. That's what they call Masukali. And when you say Seminole, that didn't exist. So what were the people called before that, right? And we're slowly waking up to the Yamassee being the mother tribe, but that's a conversation for a whole nother piece. You know what I mean? Because when you start saying that, then people feel like, you are basically spitting on the history that they've learned and come to understand by their European colonizers, who again had a mission. There is nothing that we talk about that cannot be proven when I talk about our part of history and or the word Seminole as a whole. But to go back to the use of the word Black, it didn't exist. And when you start looking up these images of the Seminoles and you start depicting, and I don't know if y'all have images of the Ruby Tiger and the pictures that I have put in my book. When you look at these images of these Black Seminole women, and I say Black loosely because that's the way you can understand where I'm going with it. And you see these women who had their hair in buns and bangs, like women wore in the 70s and 80s and 90s and continue to wear today. There was no Black Seminole before their name. She was considered a Seminole squaw, right? So we have to understand that language and how it's being used today is the same way it's being used today. In the 70s and 80s, I think the men used to call each other pimps and slick, and it was a way that they identified. Now today, the guys are calling themselves my guy. What's up, bro? But it doesn't denote who you are. And we have to look at it the same way. When people say Black Seminole, that does not mean African. That does not mean anything other than you're trying to give a description, because truly those who are now considered Seminole, who are of lighter skin, is the first image that people come to their mind. But again, if we go into the conversation now of Seminole, which is another conversation within itself, and you look at the root of the word, because the word in our language, what I teach at Fort Mose, Seminole, is actually a Hichiti word, which means runaway. But the word that was originally being used for the Seminoles were Semaroons, right? The Maroon people. So what is the root word of Maroon? But in our language, Seminole meant runaways. It didn't mean wild ones. And it's so fascinating to see the modern day Seminoles and Seminole people today that use that word and say unconquered in the same breath, because you can't be considered wild ones, which is why they added that to the context. I want you guys to understand that. The word wild one was only added because the word Seminole does not mean wild ones. It doesn't mean that. It means runaway, literally. But the reason why wild ones was interjected was to take on the mentality and mindset of modern day Seminoles, which is to be the unconquered. Okay, so if we are unconquered, we can't be unconquered. We was identified as slaves, and that's what Seminoles were considered, runaways, right? Runaways from what? The slave plantation. So if you're running away from a slave plantation, you can't be considered an unconquered person because you were put into slavery. But I don't want to open up that can of worms. I just want to simply say that there's still so much we have to get past, and history has to get past before we can even have those conversations and those dynamics of acceptance. And I know I've been talking a lot, so I'm gonna let you guys ask some questions.
No, but you kind of touched on one of my questions that I had about self-recognition versus the world or the government recognition. You kind of spoke on that, so I appreciate it.
Well, you said kinda, so what part didn't I fill in for?
No, I said you covered it.
Okay.
You covered it. Huh?
All right. We have a guest in the chat that asked the question. Panther Warrior said, "Mother Tribe?" ? Can you explain how they are the Mother Tribe?
So when we say mother tribe, and that's a great question, Panther Warrior, and this isn't something that I'm saying and making up. This is something that history has said. So when you look at several different major tribes in the Southeast, historical references, they all reference the Yamassee. It is said, and you can, again, I'm never going to say anything that can't be Googled or looked up or researched. So when it came to the Yamassee, they always talked about the Seminole. It was always known when the Yamassee bloodline was shown when they were dark skinned. And it was always talking about how the leaders at that time, Micanopy and Alligator, were of the Yamassee bloodline. And, that's just a brief synopsis, and that's not an exact quote. So when it comes to the Seminoles, yes, the mother tribe to them is the Yamassee people. And this is documented, guys. Go into our Instagram account. I've been showing you guys where the U.S. government has us documented as the actual Seminoles. There was no mixture of tribes. There was no other tribe. They said the Oconee speaking, the Oconee, Hichiti speaking Yamassee were the actual Seminoles. So that's one part of that when it comes to the mother tribe aspect of it. And that's something that I'm still waiting for people to catch up on and really get, because I've been dropping this for years now. When it comes to the other aspect of it, the Cherokee is considered one of the largest tribes in the United States. They boast having the largest membership in the United States. And even when it comes to the Cherokee called us their ancient people. They wouldn't fight us. There was the conjurer who would not fight the Yamassee because he said we were their ancient people. And so, even when you look at that dynamics and when you look at the Cherokee that did fight us, who were these people? I can show you where these Cherokee that were fighting us were mostly of white men or the $5 Indians who, had became Cherokee by money or monetary and was mixing in with the women. The same thing that's happening now in a lot of tribes. And then those were the ones who fought us. But the original Cherokee people, who are dark-skinned people, would not fight us, but they identified us as their ancient people. When you look at the Catawba has the same almost word for word verbatim statement as they called us their ancient people. So when you look at this aspect of the Yamassee, and when you look at the fact that the Yamassee people had well over 800-900 towns and villages, and I keep going up with my number because the more I do research, the more I find out how large our chiefdom was. And if you look up before the Cherokee upper and lower region, the Yamassee was the only tribe who had an upper and lower region. So yes, when I say the mother tribe, it is literally that, because you can find remnants and history of our people from the southeast all the way over to Louisiana, when all of that was considered La Florida, and when all of that was a part of the quote Spanish Union. So I don't say that word loosely when I say the mother tribe. I say that because we have been proven to be one of the oldest tribes here in the United States, not just through the name Yamassee. I realize we also had other names like the Iguaha. We also had the name, people, there's a whole thing going on now with the Wali and all that other stuff, and that's a whole nother conversation. But we had, and we are known throughout multiple countries, actually. Our tribal name has spanned through multiple countries, and that's just through the research I've done. So I don't say the mother tribe because I'm trying to boast or make us bigger than what we are. I'm saying this because of the research that I've done personally, that I've witnessed, and I went down that rabbit hole, and I understood the dynamics of what me going on that rabbit hole would actually be. So I hope that answered your question, but what I would entice anyone to do is do the research yourself and see it for yourself. Don't do a half-butt research and half-tail shallow researching and all this other stuff. Deep dive, because there's so many different narratives in history that will identify and talk about what I just shared.
What can you share about your origin story of the Yamassee tribe?
Our origin story is a sacred one. I will only say that we came down with the breath giver. All tribes have an origin story. Ours is one that we came down with the breath giver. And so our story goes inside of our clan stories, and it really boils down to an old Seminole story talking about how the different clans came here with the creator or the great breath giver, and then seeded the planet. But I don't really go deeply into our origin story because it is still sacred to us, and it talks about a whole nother conversation that we have tribally internal.
Right.
Okay. We have another question in the chat. Humble Red Clan asks, what tribe of people do the Yamassee come out of?
What tribe of people do Yamassee come out of?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a lack of understanding because we don't have. Well, let me know. There's not no lack of understanding. So, we historically, and again, this is researchable, we are part of the Anasazi. So anyone who's ever heard of the Anasazi before, we are part of that group of people, which ties us into the Istamaya, which is the Totanic, which is why our language, Hichiti, is so closely related, or actually is a derivative of that. Our language actually comes out of the Mayan language, which leads us back to the Anasazi people. And the Anasazi people have a whole nother vast history that is way profound and way deep and very rich in culture. A lot of misunderstanding and misidentification because it deals with cannibalism. It deals with rituals and blood rituals and things like that. And if you need a better resource of understanding, go back to the movie. I think it was what's the one that Mel Gibson did? Apocalypto. Yes, yes. So when you want to look at who we were as a people, that is our quote tie-in, which is the Anasazi. But again, it goes much deeper because the Yamassee is one of the only tribes who had a variety of derivatives of spelling of our names, and we were called many different things based on many different people.
Yeah, you touched on another question I was going to ask about the It's a Maya connection. You mentioned the Anasazi, and you covered that.
Thank you. You know what I mean? That's one of the things I try to tell people is that, I wanted to know more about our people. I want to know more about our ancestors. And so I had to really deep dive, and I had to go into articles, and I had to go into documents and books that weren't readily available to everybody. And, I tell this in every interview I do, you know what I mean? Like, I got books all around me right now, and that's how much reading I do, you know what I mean? I've read everybody's books. I've read their historical narratives. I got the South Carolina journals, you know what I mean? Indian laws, rights, you know what I mean? I read. And so I don't just take information from the internet and then make it applicable to my conversations or understanding of my people. I wanted to know how we all tied in together as human beings, because truly that's the whole thing. No matter what you believe in, whether you're atheist or whether you believe in Allah or Yeshua or whoever you believe in, you know what I mean? Everyone says there's a creator. So my goal was, how do we tie back to each other as a people? And that's my research. That's where my research led me to, just understanding the tie-ins to the people. What were we all called before the Europeans called us this? You know what I mean? The word Creek is a European word. You know what I'm saying? So what we called before then, Cherokee is even a messed up derivative of dialect and tongue. So when I understood the dynamics of our people and understood that I wanted to find out through our oral history, through our origin story, how we went back to the Creator, it takes you down this rabbit hole. And then, as I shared in many different interviews, when you start getting pieces of the puzzle, my family, when you start getting pieces of the puzzle, you get this big picture. And you ain't got to even have the final piece to get like, oh, I now understand why history has been tainted. And that's the thing that has been so overwhelming to me, because I've been saying this almost over a decade now. And now people are unraveling the BS. They're unraveling the narrative. They're unraveling the stories. People are diving into articles and stuff that I didn't even read, right? And I think that was so fascinating, that to see people start to unfold this history that has never been talked about before. And they're creating their own platforms now. And they're getting this recognition because they're unveiling things that myself, Paul, or any of us could have ever thought that we was going to read or hear. Like, once we get locked into certain subjects and topics, we typically stay there and go in. But now people are starting to be like, whoa, did you know this? And did you know this? And did you know this? So, I'm loving, this whole reawakening of our people, where now we're equal, and it's like on an equal playing field, and knowledge is readily available to everybody. But I want to say this as well. This is why it was, and I keep saying this, and probably you know what I'm going with this. This is why it was illegal for us to read. This is why it was illegal for the exact reasons now. That door is opening, that the information is being told, and they're like, you all are great people. Y'all are more great than we've ever told y'all.
Chief Eagle Elks too. We gotta watch Chief Eagle Elks too, so we gotta be mindful of the time. What's up, cuz?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a replay. Chief is
right.
Here. This
is a recap.
I'm seeing, this is a recap. I'm seeing people asking questions. It's the Chief. This is a replay.
I saw that.
You can see, that was way in August. We in November now.
The thumbnail on the live, it says the great recap. So it's one of our greatest interviews. So we are reviewing it. We're doing the great recap, y'all. Okay.
And everybody saying happy birthday. His birthday been done.
Yeah, that was in August, but it's okay. It's okay. They just saw the name and they showed up. They didn't actually read the thumbnail, but it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, but
It's
yeah,
the
you got
recap.
you got to read the title. You got to read the title.
All right,
All
so
right.
I'm gonna push play because we gotta watch another chief. Hold on.
Loving every bit of it.
Awesome. Someone asked, when did the Yamassee enter the Southeast?
When did we enter the Southeast? There was never a point in time we wasn't. That's equivalent to saying, and here's what I want to say to you. No man can tell you when another being was here. Like there was no one or nothing that was recording. We didn't record, nor did we write down to say when we were here and when we weren't here. Even when it comes to the Europeans, they can pinpoint through DNA that there were, like, for example, the Siberian Native Americans, the Mongoloid Native Americans. Now they can put them at a place and time, AD, at a certain time. But they also tell you that there was another man that existed and lived here way before that. But they can't tell you when he got here. So for me to sit here and try to answer that would be egotistical of me to even try to answer when did we actually get here in the Southeast, because science haven't even been able to prove exactly what man, as you all know, they're finding older and older bones every chance they get. Here in Allendale, the Topper site, they've already dated us back here to be, I think it's 25 or 30,000 years ago that they found the oldest artifacts and bones here of Yamassee people. So I couldn't tell you that beyond that scope of understanding and information that's been given so far. Again, I wasn't there, you know what I mean? And nor have I read any documentation that can definitively put our people here in the Southeast.
Yeah, that was a humbly Red's question. Okay. Right.
That's for the questions. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay. I had a question about the green corn. Is that the main celebration that is like publicized? I know the Yamassee have many ceremonies, just like the Ani and Waya, they have many ceremonies, but the importance of the green corn, could you break that down?
Yes.
Or
yes, yeah. I'll break down what I can share. Okay. As you know, a lot of what we do is sacred. That is not publicized. The importance of the green corn is our new year. A lot of what matter of fact, this is funny to me because a lot of what Americans celebrate is Native American in culture. And I'm not saying that Europeans didn't do it before they got here, but the concept of a new year, a new celebration, is, from my understanding, a large part of who we were as a tribe. So our new year started when the new harvest. You got to realize that after the freeze and after winter and things like that, when we were able to harvest the ripening of corn, or not even just corn, any vegetable, when it was feasible to actually harvest vegetables and then go hunting, because animals are procreating at a certain time, they're having babies at a certain time of the year, and so now the bounty of deer meat or whatever else is all good at a certain point in time. That is what green corn is for us. It's the celebration of a new year. It is our time to ask the ancestor for whatever we may not have had the year before or prior year. You know what I mean? If we had a lot of death, if we had famine, if we had war, this was our time to ask the Creator to bestow upon us certain things that we might have missed. And it's just basically a celebration. But it's part of our renewal, and what we do that I can share is, we clean our stomp grounds, we clean our ceremonial grounds. We bring new family members to Big Mama, and she's introduced to the new family members and things of that nature. But for the most part, that's what it is for us, along with sacred ceremonial practices and things that we do.
Right. So is there a part of, like, there's different times of the year, right? We know that. So like the lighting of a new fire, like you have the new fire, and then it's supposed to stay lit, like the ancestral flame. What is the importance of fire to the Yamassee or to yourself?
So if we simplify it and dumb it down, I hate to take away the spirituality of a thing, because you got to realize our people were when our people was coming in, doing their thing, their understanding of a lot of information that science has now given us wasn't the same. Like, we understood always that every living thing had life, even fire. We looked at fire as sacred because sacred was considered the grandfather. It was always wanting to consume. Grandfather always was hungry and wanted to eat. And that's because in order to keep a fire lit, it needs to consume. The fire constantly being lit was one of necessity. If we want to dumb it down and simplify it, it was one of necessity. You know, when you're living in a village, they didn't have the ability to go pop open their stove or turn on a microwave. You know what I mean? They didn't have that. They had to keep the fire going. They had to keep the fire lit. And even with the celebration of a new fire, you know, extinguishing the old fire and in with the new, you know, when you have too many ashes in a hole, you know what I mean, it's hard to keep the fire going because the fire is sinking into that hole of ashes, if we want to simplify that whole conversation. But if we look at it from a spiritual thought process, you know, if that fire went out for us, it was like, wow, you know, the creator took away the fire, or this person, you know, didn't keep the fire going. That fire was just sacred to us because this is how we eat, this is how we cook, you know what I mean, this is how we're making soups, you know, so it had a very large and important role into our lives. But again, the sacredness came from us understanding that all things is living. Everything and every inanimate object is living and it wants to live. So we understood the dynamics of that aspect of it. Like even when it comes to eating food, you know, that prayer that people give now that they're giving, you know, the creator thanks for tribal people went to the animal, thanking that animal for giving its life and its spirit, you know, for us to consume and for us to continue on and live here. You know what I mean? And we can get into the spiritual realm of this, but I'm gonna try to keep it in that context so our people can really comprehend, you know, that we look at the fire as sacred because of what it did for our people, and that it was a necessity from staying warm to cooking food to boiling water to keeping, you know what I mean? So, you know, when you look at it for what it is, just understand the dynamics of why it was sacred to our ancestors. Because again, they didn't have lights, they didn't have matches, they didn't have lighters, you know, to create a fire. That was something they really needed to keep lit throughout the year until they no longer could do it. And so green corn was that time that they chose to do it. But trust and believe me, it wasn't just put out, because I watched my uncles and grandmothers now when they took the fire out during our green corn up in North Florida. It was never the fire just extinguished. It was always embers that was put into something that, so there was a flame always being carried on. And then as they cleaned out the pits and put new, you know, kindling in, and then used them ambers to reset the fire, that's what happened. But I want us to think about it from the standpoint of just being realistic. We didn't have the ability to make fire like that.
Yeah, it's hard work.
Very hard work.
Yeah.
Wale Origins had asked the question, where may we find the quote with the Catawba, because they use the name for the Wale.
Well, it's in there. It's not hard. Matter of fact, I put it into the book. If you look at the book, into our book, I quote it inside of that book. But you can look at the Catawba. It's not hard to find. You got to do a little research, okay? And this isn't an egotistical statement. This is just do a little research, and you'll find the Catawba people identifying the Yamassee as their ancient people. And matter of fact, one of the it goes hand in hand with children of the sun. They also talk about us being children of the sun, which meant basically the depiction of our dark skin. One thing you will never get out of me dynamically is, because I have so much information in my head, is the exact quote, exact books, because I've read so much, and I promise you, I can quote you 1,000,001 references, and probably very few that I can remember exactly where I got the reference from, because of all the books I have read throughout my lifetime. But if it is a situation where you can't find it, I'll make sure that I send it over to Paul or put it on my Facebook page immediately so that you can find it. But I want to say, matter of fact, I want to say it is in the Catawba's book, actually. It is inside of a Catawba book. They talk about the Catawba history, if I'm not mistaken.
All right. There's another question by Wale where he said, where is the Yamassee place of origin, and what their original language at the game can join?
Yeah, he touched on the origin, but the language, what did you say about the language?
Our language, and I touched on that as well when I said that the Hichiti language is a derivative and comes from Istamaya. It's a part of the Totanic language series.
Yeah, he mentioned that earlier. Yeah. Now, Panther Warrior asked the question, how did y'all end up on the coast? talk about when did the Yamassee end up on the coast?
Well, again, you know, I mean, you're talking about history that no person can talk about. This goes back to, and I don't want to make no one feel stupid when I answer this. It goes back to, again, who can dynamically say when. You have different, so the Europeans would have had to ask elders or tribal members what their origin story was or where they came from. And when you talk about the Yamassee story, this is one of the stories that's not told by many, because remember, spoke two different languages, which was one of trade and then the Hichiti language, which we didn't really teach to many people. Matter of fact, it's why the Miccosukee people today, the traditional Miccosukee, don't want the language written down in books or taught that way. But when you talk about when did we get to the coast and the East Coast, no one could definitively say when we did or didn't. A lot of it is just speculation, and we need to understand that dynamics of it. It's speculation because the Europeans can only go by what they see or what they assume. No different than, you got to realize, when it came to the Yamassee people, they were saying that the Yamassee, according to De Leon and Quadriphages, was from were Africans that came pre-Columbus, right? And so that was a statement that was made in the 1890s, according to the Department of the Interior census records, where that statement was made. Now that statement is null and mute because they're saying that the Yamassee been here tens and thousands of years prior to that statement, right? So as the Europeans start researching, the only thing that really can answer those questions, Panther Warrior, and again, this is conversations that I want people to think about. The only thing that answers those questions is DNA. The older they find bones in these regions, the older the history goes, because now once they find these bones, they now say, and they'll tell you this every 10 years, they're like, oh, we got to rewrite history because what we found now to be this isn't true, and blah, blah, and blah, blah, blah. So, you know, I mean, for me to sit here and say one thing, I would make myself look asinine and ignorant, because I'm not the one testing this DNA that they're finding. I'm not the one that's doing the research into the DNA, and nor am I, you know, doing carbon dating on the bones of our ancestors. These are things that we all depend on the Europeans to tell us. And we know, again, as history has shown us, we're only getting half of the story. So the Yamassee may have been here 25,000 years now, which is what I said earlier, that the Topper site says we've been here in the East Coast now for the last 25,000. Next year, it may be changed. It might have been 50,000. You get what I'm saying? So y'all looking for answers from me that I don't have, because, again, I only can give you what's being told.
Right. And here's a book source. If you want to know anything about the Yamassee that is public knowledge, check out this book, Yamassee Culture, Heritage, and Practices. All right. This is inscribed by Miku Sekou HADJO.
Yes. And I really battled with myself even making that public, but because we're not giving these sacred information out, and I wanted people to see the historical documents and the narratives and the court documents to, you know, my goal when I wrote that book originally was to unequivocally say, hey, listen, because it was a big deal about being a Black Indian, that I wanted to disprove that thought process in theory. So when I wrote that book, I was sharing, firstly, the thought process, and what I first tackle about is I tackle race. Like, hey, this ain't about race, this ain't about white or blacks, because y'all know that I don't see color when it comes to that. I do see attacks. If you attack me, no matter what your color is, if you attack my people, I'm going to come for you. You know what I mean? Because I can sit here and tell you how all of us have some kind of faults in ourselves, no matter what tribe you come from. But I immediately go into that book. I talk about color and how white, Black, Hispanic, Mexican, whatever you identify as, we're all human beings, we're all family. And if any of you ever known me, and if you ever came to any function I've ever done on any green corn, y'all know I make everybody hold hands, put their feet on the ground, take their shoes off, and we all are praying together, and we're looking at each other, and we're in one unison. So that's the first part I did in that book. The second part was in tackling the court documents and saying, this is what the courts were saying with the Lord proprietors. This is what the colonists, you know, was going through and dealing with. This is what our ancestors were dealing with. This is what their plea and their struggle was. This is what they were going to them and why the Yamassee War happened. You know, I went through that to show unequivocally, this is what we were identified. This is how we was unidentified. This is how that information was miscategorized. This is how we got put into our situation, so that there is, this ain't Chief Sekou saying this is history saying. And then I go into the practices and some of the traditional foods and things like that of what we did, how we ate, and how we, you know, maintained without giving up anything sacred.
Right. I did want to share the cartoon while I'm looking for it. Pa, you have any questions, comments?
Who you talking about? You talking about Sanuti?
Basically, all the comments are in the. All the questions are in the comment section, and I have a comment that's from Humbly Red Crane. He asks, "What is the Yamassee role with bringing the corn to the southeast?"
We don't have a role in the Southeast. A lot of that stuff is, corn isn't from my understanding, corn wasn't a fruit. That was, what's the word I'm looking for? It was not, is not, it's like horses. Horses aren't originally from here. But corn isn't something that was here. It was bought over here.
Okay, so the difference between maize, and corn, there's a difference.
It's a big difference. Thank you. And thank you all for the questions as well. The questions is what makes a great interview. Oh, she done pulled up Sanuti. Yes.
Yeah, because they were asking about the language, and this is a certain way to learn about the language.
And let me say this as well, man. And I want to commend all of our people who are finding themselves, or who've always known who they are. I want to commend you because you all are some of the most ingenious, astute people I've ever met in my life. I've never had more intriguing questions and conversations than with the people who have or are indigenous people or Aboriginal people. I think we have some of the most intellectual and thought-provoking conversations in the world. But I also think we're our own worst enemies, because now that we are focused on, and now we understand who we are, what's next? What's next? We know who we are. History's proven that. Now that you know who you are, okay, the argument is no longer a fight. What do you do next?
Learn your people's ways.
Learn your people's ways.
Yeah.
But learning our ways still does not allow Christina and Pa to be about their tribe all the time, to be who we're supposed to be, which is teaching and educating our children all the time. Because you got to eat. Pa got to eat. We still got to pay bills. We still got to survive. And so it's fascinating to me that everyone now is focusing on and debating each other, because that's the thing that hurts me the most, to watch us debate and clash about who this, who's the original. How does that pay your bills? How does that feed you? That's why I don't get into those conversations like, well, how old is the Yamassee? How is that going to feed you? How's that going to pay your lights? How's your babies, if you have children, how they're going to eat because you know how old the Yamassee are? So I'm sitting back and I'm watching this clashing of information and everybody's history and who's who and who's not. It's an ongoing thing now within the Black Seminole community, because everybody thinks their story is the story of everybody, and that's not the case. You're talking about thousands of years of information and centuries of information that you can get, the information that is achievable, but you're talking about centuries of information that you're trying to wrap up into a couple of years and then make it speak for everyone and everything. Okay, so everyone's bumping heads about whose information is correct, whose information is not, when truly there is a movie, there is an episode, there is a multi-series, multi-episode movie called The Indigenous People or Aboriginal People of Color. This is not the Matrix trilogy. This is not Terminator 5, 6, 7, 8. This is a movie that can last for decades if we tell all the stories, all the historical narratives, all the memoirs, all of it. Listen, so there is no one person that is correct about everything. We have to stop that. We have to stop this here and move on to the next. The moving on to the next for me is what we're doing. We just dropped out our very first and cryptocurrency called Cahokia, right? What is that about? Empowering people that's indigenous, right? That's one of the memes we dropped, the meme coins we did, the Breaking Bad bear. It was our test subject. We got several ones that we're releasing, but Cahokia is the brainchild. The ticker is CHKA, Cahokia. It's on the Solana network. What does that do? Well, I'm not worried about who I am no more because I know who I am. I've proven who I am. I know I'm indigenous. History's proven I'm indigenous. Piggyback off my facts. How does that feed my babies? Financially, as nations, the whole identity of being recognized, it always boils back down to money. Federal recognition boils back down to money. I don't care how you spin it, it boils back down to money. Because we have a conversation with the federal government, we help influence laws, we have a working relationship with the United States government, we have a working relationship with local government and the local officials and law enforcement, so that's not a problem. They respect our sovereignty, they don't bother us, they let us be, but I gotta feed my family, I gotta feed the tribe. So it's amazing to me to watch how people are not focused on the things that are important as nations. If you call yourself a nation, then you should be worried about how do I take care of my people? Not worried about what you call me. Remember, like, listen, what people, your grandma used to say, you can call me anything, but Jesus, don't, you can call me anything. You can call me a liar, you can do all that stuff there. Just don't put your hand in my pocket, right? So I don't care what people call me, identify. What I do know is that my babies have to eat, my wife has to eat, the tribe has to eat, right? And so instead of the greatest minds ever who will debate you about how an ant poops at night, we can't come together to create our financial well-being, because at the end of the day, that's what it's about. So I'm past all the debating part and the origin and the original who's this. And I don't care about none of that. I care about how you all going to eat. When the lights get turned off, and I say this in all my videos, when the lights get turned off and COVID, damn, it was it for y'all. Where do you go? How will you eat? How will you survive? And it's not about the money, it's how you use the money. So we have the money to buy the farming equipment, to buy the land, to buy the cattle, to be able to produce food, because money won't have value when it's all said and done. If there's a major catastrophe here, if a meteor hit the planet, it's still gonna be about survival. But if you don't have the resources to do it, what then? So my focus has been on the ability to be able to now produce our own wealth, right? And so everyone says we don't have the ability to print money. Well, now we do with the digital outcome. So we are focused on, and what our project has been is Cahokia coin. We jumped into the meme coins like Breaking Bad Bear and Turbo Turtle and a couple others just to test the market and see how it's going to be accepted. And it's widely accepted. I can't make this up. And I've been in contact with some of the greatest minds there is when it comes to this younger generation. And they have taught me how this thing works. And so we minted our own coin, Cahokia coin. It is available for Native people. It's going to be available for our website. If you're enrolling to our nation and tribe, you will have to use our cryptocurrency as a form of payment, which means you're going to have to get some level of competency, because this is the future. I'm going to force you guys' hands into this information, because this is the future, right? And then from there, I've already started personally coding our own blockchain. We have our blockchain waiting right now on a server so that we can create digital coins, and other tribes can come to us now and create their cryptocurrency instead of having to use someone else's blockchain on their system to create their wealth. So what are we doing to move ourselves forward? That is the question I have for us now. The whole identity thing is not even arguable. Let's let everybody else talk about it. Let everybody else fight. If you call yourself a leader of any people, if you are truly engulfed in the well-being of people as a whole, then this should be the next level of understanding, because they're showing you, they're going to the stars, they're going to other planets now. They're not taking money, okay? They're not taking paper money. They've been for a while telling you everything is going digital, guys. But now there is no more excuses for us as tribes. We literally can print our own money and support ourselves. And tribes who are going for federal recognition, the main reason why they're doing this is for the financial well-being and being able to take care of their people and being able to provide health care and all these different things. But you don't have to do that no more, because you're still asking for a handout. You're still asking for a handout. And when the federal government shuts down, as they have shown you, what happened to the tribes and people who depended on that money? They had to wait. They had to wait. Meantime, guess what happens? My stomach don't wait when it's hungry. My children aren't waiting when they're hungry. They have to eat. We have to start getting back into taking control of our own situations and our own financial well-being. So as much as I would love to answer 1,000 questions about the origin of the Yamassee and who's the oldest and language and all these different things, guys, all that stuff is public information. What my job is for you all as a chief, as a leader, whether you're in my tribe or not, is to create you the ability to be able to take care of yourself and be able to provide for your family. And so all I say to you is look up Cahokia. We got a website. It hasn't been completed yet, cahokiacoin.com. We haven't even started on it, but the coin is valid. It is active. We are creating our own blockchain. The longer you hold on to the coin, the more the coin value increases. This, again, is us giving our own 40 acres and a mule to ourselves instead of asking for it. We as Yamassee have never asked for nothing, and we're not going to start asking for anything, okay? So this is our way of being in control of our future. Cahokia Coin, look it up on the Solana network, guys. You can Google it, or you go on the deck screener and Google it and buy it. Get you a Phantom wallet, download, get you some Sol or Solana coins and swap it, transfer it over, and get the Cahokia Coin. I promise you, when we're done with this blockchain, that you're going to say, I wish I had listened to the chief and I wish I had got into it, because we're doing things never been done before. And before I leave this planet, I'm going to make being Yamassee great again.
Yes. That's right. All right. All right. So, okay. Enough said. Anything else you want to touch on? Before we let you go, we do want you to plug everything. You did just plug, the coin, that whole thing, the language teachings on YouTube. Anything else you want to plug, where they can find you or anything?
You know what I mean? For the most part, the only thing I want to plug is us. And what I mean by that is I am pro us, no matter what your color is. If it's about unity, I'm there for you. If it's about moving the people forward, I'm there for you. You know what I'm saying? I've been in the music industry 30 plus years of my life. I've worked with all the artists you guys listen to, love, from the Isaac Brothers to Jaheim to Sean Kingston, the Dr. Dre, the Eminem, the Snoop Dogg. I've worked with all those guys. I've been a millionaire a couple times, lost it all, regained it, lost it again. Money is not an issue for me. I'm about our people and the progression of our people, because at the end of the day, the money doesn't matter if your people are still starving. Right. And so at this point, now that our people have woken up and they know who they are, they've identified themselves like, okay, tag, you it. It's on to the next thing. And the next thing is, how can I make sure when my sister comes down, when Christina comes down, she's well taken care of? How can I make sure that when the rest of the tribe is in dire straits and they need something, they're well taken care of? I'm really against the whole federal recognition process as a way for us to take care of ourselves. I do feel, again, that we can do it on our own, and again, I have worn many hats, as Pa said, originalist, historian, author, musician. Matter of fact, I'm still putting music out, you know what I mean? And if y'all haven't listened to one of the songs y'all were listening to, was HADJO. So I wrote that. I produced it. It is released. Go check out HADJO. That's a whole story within itself, because there's a secret background and some information. Just listen to the music, y'all guys. Tell me what you think about HADJO. She has dope music. Again, I wrote it and produced it, put it out to pass a message to our women and sisters. There are several different tracks on there that I really hope that our people hone in on to, which is War Cry, Copper Tone Indians, Indigenous Flame, Destination Me. So I try to write the songs to have a blend of culture and then modern feel for our young women who are living in today's world, who's battling between their cultural identity and then just being and living normal. So the music was set up to have all of that battle and struggle, that warrior that most women are, that fight for what's right in their spirit and soul, but then being caught up and wanting to be glamorous and fame and trying to find love and trying to be this person, but being torn between the two. So, I have songs in there that, really embellish what our sisters are going through, which is why I pushed HADJO first as the first project that I wanted to release. But again, what it really still boils back down to is the financial well-being of our people. With the digital currency and the cryptocurrency, we no longer have to be enslaved to a system where we are waiting for monies and handout. Now with cryptocurrency, we create that. So for everyone who early adopts the coin, who buys the coin now, the more people come in, the more the value comes in because of the scarcity of the coin. which means if you come in and you purchase the Cahokia coin now, the more people catch on to the use of it and adopt it into their purchases at powwows or their websites and things of that nature, the more value comes increasing, and we become self-made millionaires. What that does in return, it allows us now to be able to create the projects, purchase more land. We don't have to go to government and beg them for our land back. We can just go buy the land back and say, here's a fair price. It's ours anyway, or we can go to court because we got the money for that. So I want us to look at this financial currency thing as one that we must support, not should support, must support, because that's what we've been asking for. But we have to stop waiting for the handouts. This is not a handout. This is an investment into ourselves, because not one person controls this coin. This coin is a community-based coin, and we will be releasing all of the coin to the community where we don't have no control over it once we have enough people adopt it. So it will be based on, it will be self-sustaining. But that's the only thing I really want to plug, which is the financial stability of our people and making sure that we are looking at our financial stability and start to invest in ourselves. Because just the way the awakening happened with the indigenous movement and people became aware, I did one video for it, brother, 3 million production. I want to show you how powerful we are. When I met the brother, I think he had maybe 3,000, 4,000 subscribers. He had been trying to get me on for months. You know what I mean? And Caleb, I love him. That's a little brother to me, very intellectual, very smart brother. And he was telling me his story and how he got involved with it. But when I went to him, he had 3,000 or 4,000 subscribers, maybe 5. And I don't think it was 5,000, but we did this one video, and he had videos that went and did 100,000. But within, I think it was 3 to 4 weeks, we went from 10,000 views to 350,000 views on his YouTube channel. And that said everything to me. I may be wrong. I think maybe 250,000 views, but it's one of the numbers. But that said that 250,000 people could resonate with the message, understood what it meant, and shared that with other people. That the message that was given in that video was so, it resonated with people's heart chakras so much so that they had to share it, and that it was viewed a couple 100,000 times, right? And so I'm hoping people understand the dynamics of this video as well and what has been shared so far as well, and understand the dynamics of what I mean when it comes to this coin. Because if we took that same dynamics with the coin, if 250,000 of us shared this coin and we all helped that coin net worth at 250,000 people, and this is just a guesstimate, will be worth almost $1 billion. Think about that.
Yeah, that's powerful.
That's very powerful. That's very powerful. And I think if we did that in a 3-week period, think if we shared a coin that we all had stake into, that we purchased $20. So you got to purchase a bunch of it because right now it's so cheap. But if you just purchase $20 of it and you get 10,000 coins, and 3 months from now, that coin that you got 3,000 of, 300,000 other people purchased it, and that $20 investment became $50,000. Think about that. Like, come on. So that's what I want to do. The same way. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Ray Crane asked the question. So if another tribe wants to have their own digital currency, how would they go through you to get their own? Explain. Great question, because that is what the blockchain is about. That is what native blockchain is about. That's why we're creating the blockchain, because they'll be able to come. It won't be going through us. They will go through the blockchain and create their own cryptocurrency themselves. That's what we want to do, empower other tribes. We're not just empowering the Yamassee. That's the thing I want you to get, that the blockchain and the code that we're creating right now that's sitting on my laptop in the server is about them being able to do just that. However, what we're saying now is, and I don't mind teaching people how to do it. It's not like it's a secret. You can create your own coin now. But what happens is when you get into the market right now, there's something, and if you understand anything about stocks, you have to pair your coin with another asset. And so when you're pairing that coin with another asset, and we have to pair it with Solana. So when you pair it with Solana, Solana's going right now for like $149 a coin. Less than a year ago, you could have got that Solana coin for under a penny. And if you were smart and you had purchased it the same way I'm asking people to do now, because it's not if this coin is going to blow up, it's when it's going to blow up. But if you had purchased that Solana coin a year ago and you had bought 1,000 shares of Solana, multiply that right now times $140. If you had, just think about it. If you had bought 20,000 coins, because it was under a penny,
what would your bank look like a year from now? That's an interest rate you won't find at no other bank. So what I'm saying is we don't mind sharing, just to answer this question. I don't mind sharing and teaching other tribes how to do this. My thing is the money that we make off the Cahokia coin will implement our native blockchain. We want to have enough people that are indigenous buying the coin that we can say, now that we know that there's a market for it, here's the blockchain. Here's how you guys create your own infrastructure, and we don't have to depend on Bitcoin, Ethereum, or any of the rest of the coins to make our wealth. The Native American indigenous people need to have their own hand in this cryptocurrency. And this is the only way we're going to do it if we support it. If we're truly who we say we are, we need to support this type of ventures because it only can benefit us. You can buy right now $50 worth of coin, another 100 people can come in and buy, and you can make $500 off that, take out your profit, and keep your $100 in. You've made money. That's what this is about. So if you're interested, just contact us, and we'll see how we can help you out.
I hope that answers your question, Lamont, because Lamont asks if crypto is only successful if the people invest. What's the benefit will the people receive?
There you go. There you go. And that's the truth. And that's what I'm trying to get us to understand, that we have been talking the whole empowerment of the people. We've been talking about unity. We've been talking about being one accord. This is it. We invest in everything. Listen, every time you go and buy this processed hot dogs and hamburger meat and all those stuff that you're getting, you're investing in somebody else's company. You're investing in somebody else's company. Every time you go and get Apple stock or Amazon stock, you're investing in their company. What are they giving you back? Well, because you purchasing it now instead of getting it when it first came out, you're getting pennies on the dollar on your interest based on if you had invested when they first came out with it, you would probably been a millionaire. But we invest in everybody else other than ourselves. And it goes back to what all the other brothers are saying, from Rizal Islam to the rest of the brothers. When do we invest in ourselves? Because we're giving our money everywhere else to ourselves and not seeing a kickback from it.
Right.
Every other people, the Chinese, like the Chinese people got hair salons, they sell in black markets. I can sit here and run it down. The Indians got gas stations in black neighborhoods, banks, liquor stores. But what do we have that we can say our own that empowers us, that puts money back in our pocket? Because ain't none of these operations going to black communities. These Chinese restaurants, these Indian gas stations, they do not donate. When I was going to get donations for green corn, when I go to get donations for the children or do events, they don't have no money. But they're making hundreds of thousands of money. They're making more money here in our communities than the average community business. But they will not give back to us. Right. So let's go, family. Let's go. Cahokia coin. Look it up on Solana. The website will be up real soon. And if you don't know the history of Cahokia, look it up. Cahokia was a trade place for our people. It's where we came together. So that was the significance of it, right? It's where we came together in unity, bought and sold and trade from each other. It's where we came to do ceremony. This coin represents all of that for our people.
Yeah, it was the world's biggest mall before the world's biggest mall. Yeah. All right. Well, Chief, we don't want to hold you too long. Pa, what's up? You got any comments or anything?
They have a comment. Someone said don't make the ATL coin and the Bitcoin dominance is too big. It controls the market. If it goes down, the whole market goes down.
Well, that's everything. But see, these are things, again, this is why we need our own blockchain, because we don't want to support those type of adventures, because see, it's a whole nother conversation. But it goes back to things that we can control and can't control. And we need to understand that the only thing we can control is things that we build with our own hands, right? So having our own blockchain, having our own cryptocurrency is something we control. If we don't believe in ourselves, yes, the value will go down, the market will go down. And you'll notice the relevance and symbolism behind when the stock market drops, Bitcoin and everything else drops, right? So people who are in the cryptocurrency think that it doesn't tie into the stock market when it does, right? And then it's obvious. So yes, I get it, but this goes back into thinking that we're going to be in control of all things at all times, and we can't be in control of all things at all times. Because if I could be, all y'all have the coin right now. Everybody will hold the coin for the next 5 years, right? And then I say, hey, cash out, and we all be trillionaires. But my point being, we can't control everything, guys. Is what I'm saying. And I just want us to stop being so analytical that we have the answers to all things, but we don't have the solution to it. Right?
This is a great start, though.
But again, the ticker is CHKA, stands for Cahokia. CHKA is on Solana. You can find it on Dex Screener, Jupiter, Radium, Bird's Eye. Download the Phantom app. It's called the Phantom app, PHANTOM.app. You can download it for your laptop browser as a plug-in extension. You can download it on your phone. You can instantly get it. You don't have to do KYC. You know everything is KYC, know your customer. So you don't have to give any information to them. You don't have to give them any of your personal information. You can download it, keep your privacy, and still invest.
You talking about this? Let me see. I'm gonna try to share it. No, I'm saying this. What you're doing is a great start for people that have all these, questions and comments on it. But this is a great effing start. Don't get me started.
Thank you, my sister. Thank you. Because again, like I said before, my sister, we can continue to talk about it. Yes, that's family. We can keep talking about it, or somebody got to do something about it. And I've been tired of watching people exploit our people. I've watched our people spend $1,500, $2,000, $2,500 to claim their indigenous status and become identified as a Native American or Aboriginal, and that money never comes back to you and went in that person's pocket, and they're exploiting you, and they'll never give back to you. This is something that you can chime into, and it's so funny to me because our people will spend $2,500 to reclaim their status, which is all about still your money. At the end of the day, you want the freedom to be able to keep money in your pocket, and you want to claim land, and well, we ain't got to do none of that. This is literally about you, and I want to see how many of us is going to support it and really chime in, because the cryptocurrency, the Cahokia coin, is just the beginning. The real thing is the blockchain, our own blockchain, where we are helping other people print their own money. We're helping other tribes print their own money and being independent and self-sufficient and not having to worry about federal monies or funding. That's the true value, to be able to give other tribes who either federally recognize or not the independence to be sovereign and be independent and be able to do what's best for their people. That is truly, that's what we're supposed to be doing. That is what is historical, and that's what we need to make happen.
Yes, because I had one of those issues with one of the tribes that is in my bloodline. For the application, it was $500 because the ancestor that I'm connected to is back in the 1700s. And I'm like, seriously, $500?
Yep. You got to pay to be Indian these days.
Yeah, so I can relate to that statement. And it's not worth it when instead you can invest in something that is for the people, by the people, so to speak, for real.
Can you hear me?
Yes, it's just a little static in the background.
But I'll listen. Can y'all hear me still?
It's good now.
Yeah, whatever happened, Siri decided she wanted to kick in and cut out all my audio, so I can't hear you guys anymore. So that's my cue that they're like, okay, you don't talk too much about this mess, because I can't hear nothing. I swear, my screen just blanked out. Siri popped up, and I didn't even call Siri. I don't even have Siri activated on my phone. That's the truth. And Siri just popped up and just blanked my whole screen out, and then just went back out. Now I can't hear you guys, but I'm glad you guys can hear me. And thank y'all for having me on the show. I wish I could hear y'all close out with the conversation, but thank you for entertaining the conversation. Thank everybody for having the great questions, and I look forward to doing this again. And Paul, you, Christina, y'all know I love y'all. I had said I wasn't doing no more interviews for nobody for a long time, but I owe my cousins this last interview, at least for this year. So thank y'all so much. I can't hear. I swear I can't hear you. This is crazy.
Okay. All right. Peace. Well, that's one great interview. So this is what we mean when we say check our resume. Southeastern Talking Stick podcast has had phenomenal guests, our family, great support. Thank y'all for tuning in the chat. We appreciate y'all. Cuz, what's up? before we go to the next one? You got any comments? You got to unmute yourself.
No. So what y'all think so far? Let me go back and answer this sister question that she posed to Chief. She said, Chief, I heard that the Washita was one of the oldest tribes as well. Can you share any information, or is there any connection between the Yamassee and the Washita? Thank you. Is the priestess Nefertiti still on the live? Is she still there?
She's still alive.
Is she still on the live? I'll answer that if she's still here. If she's not here, we just skip over it. Is she still here on the live?
I don't know.
Okay, so you can go to the next video.
Yeah, some people left, and I guess more came back in. I see the numbers fluctuating. I can just see when they make a comment right now.
Okay. Well, go to the next video. And then we go play nephew video next week, right?
We're gonna do the Museum of the so-called Negro Indian Antiquities. So we can do both of them at the same time because they brought some monumental things, especially, nephew, he always got the book sources and, fact checks. And Seminole Brown has the effigies, and that is awesome. People don't show that on their podcast. I haven't seen no people from our generation showing effigies on their podcast. So we gonna definitely, that was a good one. We're gonna definitely show that one too.
Oh yeah, and Wale, he actually have a book that's out called The Blue Fire. Y'all want to cop that, you heard me. He had
That's what's up.
And so yeah, he have the book that's out now. So yeah, big shout out to my nephew.
Yes, congrats,
nephew. The blue flame got a flame, you heard me, burning up. Cop that. So I did that plug in for him right quick.
Yeah, that's what's up.
You won't regret it. You won't regret it. Get the book, you know what I'm saying? And it's going to answer all things that y'all thought y'all knew.
That's what's up, man. I'm sure he will elaborate on it. He can leave something in the comments for the people. And y'all can also go to his channel, Wale Origins. All right. So we also had Chief Eagle Elk LOVELL Pierce from the Cape Fear Indian. I kind of butcher the word. I'm gonna try to get it correct, but it's Woccon tribe, Skarure Woccon tribe, Cape Fear Indians. He's the principal chief. So we're gonna check out our interview that we did with him. Let me.
That's dealing with that side of the family and stuff. He's also family, So let's bring my big cousin in, know.
Peace, Osio Halito.
Hey, estamos aquí. Estamos. What's going on, family? It's popping. I see your cousins popping, baby.
Yes. Well, y'all in for a treat tonight. We have a very special guest, Chief Eagle Elk, and he has two other guests. Cousin Pod, did you want to add anything before I pull?
Oh yeah. Yeah. You know, I'm in the hair lab again, so you know, so yeah, we getting it in. But yeah, we have a prestigious guest, you know, he is a Maku, of his nation, and he's also one of the pioneers and founder of the North American or Native American Warrior Society dealing with martial arts that I'm also a part of. You know what I'm saying?
Part of Atessa?
Yeah, so you know we get it in and everything, and we train and we share information that's dealing with that side of the family and stuff. He's also family, you know. So let's bring my big cousin in, you know, Eagle Elk, you know, bring him on in.
Peace, Chief.
Peace. Cheeto Paw, Red Tail, what's going on?
What's going on with your cuz? What's going on with your baby?
Hey man, it's all good. It's just hot. It's cooling off. It's hot. I'm about to pass out cutting grass today.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for
yes.
our podcast with your presence. We appreciate you.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm honored.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been a long time since you and I actually been on the radio together. Because the last time I was on the show that you have, the
Talking Stick Radio back then.
The Talking Stick, yeah. And now you're on this Talking Stick now.
Hey, that talking, I know, right?
Talking Stick.
Yeah, the Southeastern Talking Stick. Yeah.
Circle.
Full circle.
Yeah.
So how you been doing, man?
Man, I've been doing okay. I'm on granddaddy duty all the time. I got 4 little ones now. You've probably seen them all over Facebook. I haven't been in my account since Christmas, so I haven't been able to post pictures of the babies or anything else in my account under LOVELL Piers Moore. But that's all I'm doing, man, is tribal business, family business, and you know, out there grinding every day.
Right.
Can you break down? Okay. What is your tribal nation? Can you let the people know who you are and what you stand for in case they do not know you?
Oh, absolutely. I tell you who I am and I tell you who I'm not. So the nation, the tribe is, we're the Cape Fear Band of Skarure, and we're of Skarure Woccon Indians. Skarure is how most people would say Tuscarora. So Skarure is actually in the Iroquois language. Woccon was a separate nation who was absorbed into the Tuscarora, into one bloodline. So you see a lot of the chiefs from Indian Woods migrating down into the area of the Woccon because they all were same bloodline, Cape Fear region, all the way up into Jamestown, Northampton area of Virginia. Now, who I'm not a Moor, even though my biological great-grandfather's last name is Moor, not the Moor from Morocco, or the Moor Science Temple, or the splinter groups. No affiliation. Have I learned from those guys in the past? Yes, I have. I learned from a lot of people. I have a lot of people I learned from. Just because I sit there and I learn from you don't mean that I'm going to join you. Right. I'm not a Hebrew Israelite. Have I learned from them? Yes, big time. From 1989 throughout, from 89 to 1998, I was studying with Hebrews. Then after 98, I started studying with the metaphysical order, Essene order of Melchizedek out of Ashkelon, Israel. And then I actually joined a Jewish synagogue, joined them. And I was had a good relationship with Rabbi Bennett, Rabbi Judy, and I learned a lot from them. We had some very interesting conversations behind closed doors. That's when I learned how to read, write, speak archaic script and block Hebrew. So if you know the language, you know, we got so many peddlers out there that's selling you a story, but once you learn the language, you know, really can't sell that story too much anymore.
Right.
So that's who I'm not. I'm not, even though I learned from those, you know, I learned from a lot of people. And then I think it was around 2002, I met a guy named Kadar, who was a Moorish guy. You know, I was learning from him too. A lot of interesting information, things that was pertaining to law. And then he told me he was a Cherokee. I said, all right. So he was a Moorish Cherokee. I didn't question him about that. Wasn't my place to question him about that. I was just learning a lot of things pertaining to legal matters from him because he's very astute in it. Did I join his organization? Nope. I don't endorse or promote a lot of the things that they do. Some of the folks that I was sitting around and learning from are some of those people I don't even affiliate with anymore, because you know when you live with somebody, you get to learn their true nature. Or right. when you're around people long enough, you know they'll show you the ugly side. So I've seen some things that was borderline criminal and just things I didn't want to be a part of. And then one of these guys ended up stealing my identity and got into my bank account, all kinds of crazy mess. So yeah, from all these different paths, they have good information, but I can't be them, and I'm not going to let them be me. We're not like that. I don't believe that the American Negro is Judah and Issachar and Benjamin. All you know, no. I don't endorse none of that stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I'm glad you broke that down. You showed your journey. So, about your heritage. When you said you went through these schools of thought, basically, Hebrew, the Moor, and you already knew about your tribal history, your tribal nation history.
I knew some because we're talking back in the 90s, early 2000s. I didn't know about my Tuscarora lineage, and I had an elder kind of pound that into me when I came back from South Carolina. But that I'll explain that. Growing up in the Lake Waccon area, I'm 30 minutes away from the Lumbee, and that's in Robeson County, the next county over. Which in that county as well, you have multiple Tuscarora communities. I'm about 15 minutes away from the Waccamaw tribal grounds. And then if I go south, taking the back roads going south, I'm about 35, 40 minutes away from Chief Hatcher, Waccamaw, South Carolina. So the school I went to, it was black, white, Waccamaw. So we grew up knowing about an indigenous presence. We grew up knowing we had the ancestry, but we grew up not knowing how deep the rabbit hole went. The family, when you press, like my mother and my father, when I pressed them for certain questions, you know, we have to talk about a whole lot of things and then it comes out. But if I don't press them, they won't say anything. Back then, I wasn't pressing them for any information. I started pressing the family for information around 2012. Around 2012. Growing up here, I know how some, and so when I say Lumbee, Waccamaw, I'm saying some. I don't want to cookie cut it and say everybody in the Lumbee is thinks one kind of way. All the Waccamaw thinks one kind of way. You have good people in every nation, in everywhere. Whether they've shown you that dark side or not, everybody has a dark side. People say things that they later come back to regret. So there's been people in the Lumbee. There's not necessarily many Waccamaw, but mostly there's been people in the Lumbee who said some crazy things because they didn't know any better,
Right.
But but we all grew up together here, knowing about the indigenous presence. We just didn't know how deep that rabbit hole went. So I didn't want to press any of the tribes around here about becoming a part of them, because I already know too many family members who wanted to become a part of some of the local state tribes. And even though they may have had a grandfather grow up in the community of the tribe, because they now live in the black side, they're considered black and not able to join, because now you don't have the same social connections. You don't use the same churches. You don't use the same funeral homes, and so on and so on. I've seen too many family members getting turned away and getting pissed off because of that. So at the time, I think it was around 2014, I didn't want to subject my kids to that, because my older son was interested in knowing more. Now that I'm pressing and asking questions about it, now he's becoming inquisitive. So I went down to South Carolina, and that's when I met Cheeto Pa, and I stayed down there for about a year, with them. So after that, after a year was up, and I came back home, me and my kids, we were just sitting in the living room, and I say, let's take a day trip to Charlotte, because we lived in Charlotte for about 22 years. Let's take a day trip to Charlotte. So on our way to Charlotte, I just had a thought. I said, son, isn't there a Tuscarora reservation nearby? He said, I think so. I'm not sure. So I was driving. I told him to Google it real quick. And it was the next, we were coming right up on the exit that we were supposed to take. So I took that exit, and I went over to go see Chief Leon. So somebody told me which home was Chief Leon's home, the late Chief Leon. He's passed away now. So when I went to his house and I knocked on the door, my cousin answered. He's an elder pipe carrier for Tuscarora Nation, for the Tuscarora people. He looked at me. He said, "Where have you been?" I said, "What you mean?" I said, "I was in South Carolina living on another Indian tribe." He said, "What you doing that for? This your people right here. You're home now. Have you lost your mind?" I said, "No, I didn't lose my mind. I just didn't want to deal with my family here because I know how they are." So that started the journey with the Tuscarora, learning from some of the elders who've been living this life for a long time. We have quite a few family historians who, are able to go back pretty far. And the Spaldings, the Freemans, the Mitchells, the Jacobs, the Moores, and I know I'm leaving out quite a few different names, but some of the core names around here, Graham. We have Kevin Graham, who's an historian, mainly on the Graham side, and how Blanks and all our other family names or tribal names married into the Grahams, or the Grahams married into other families. Then you have our historians who know the Freeman side like the back of their hand, and how they intermarried or others intermarried into them. And then we have Luke Alexander and Derek Keith and Ramella Mitchell. So we got a lot of family historians who know our story. So when I hear people, and I'm sorry I'm running off, but people who leave crazy comments on my channel who are not even from here, trying to speak like they know things here, and they're basing everything on stuff that they're reading that these European people of European descent, these scholars wrote. Not the families, the European people.
Right.
So yeah, they leave some crazy comments. I'm like, sometimes I leave the comment up just so other people can see how stupid it is.
They don't understand it. take what the Europeans say with a grain of salt, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So from that point, where did you start to take your position?
That was around 2017, I think. I think it was around 2017. Few of the elders were. So let me back up a second. We had a cousin who created the Cape Fear Indians of Bladen and Columbus County back in, I think, maybe 2001 or somewhere in that area. And a lot of the family in the surrounding counties were involved. But I think it was after, in the neighborhood of 10 years, it just kind of died out. So when I moved back home and they were telling me about it, when we looked it up, it was still active with the Secretary of State because it was a 501c3. It was still active. So they wanted to know, should we go that route and sign that over and make me the agent for the nonprofit? Or do we want to go Tuscarora? Do we want to talk to Chief Hatcher about him possibly chartering? And I told them, I said, my spirit, everything is telling me, and my son is saying the same thing. And I've met with some of the other cousins who are actually practicing. Why not Tuscarora? I mean, that's what we are, and why not? Why we're trying to recreate, you know? So everybody got on board with that, and that's what we've done. Had to make a few changes along the journey, but that's what we did. A couple of elders said, well, we want you to take the bull by the horn, and it's been on the popping ever since.
Yeah, so they pass you the mantle, basically.
Pretty much.
Okay.
I mean, they're up in age, and I'm already out and talking with different people. I guess they see me already doing the work and bringing the family together, because that's what it's about anyway, is bringing your family together. So they seen that, and they felt comfortable with me. So one thing led to another, and I accepted it.
Awesome. Pa, did you have any questions before I question away?
And wasn't one of the elders was cousin Chief Two Bear?
Yeah.
Well, I miss cuz we walk the red, the red road with the great spirit, I miss Chief, man. Yeah.
I think you talking about Chief Two Bears for the Cherokee, right?
Yeah.
Yep. There was another Chief Two Bears that Two Bears met. He was our chief of elders. He was it was that Two Bears who wanted me to, who was one of the elders who wanted me to do this. Now Chief Two Bears of our Cherokee brother who passed, he was definitely, when I met him, full of encouragement and from his experiences, and we were able to have a pretty good relationship, because he looks standoffish in his pictures, but he was very embracing once he got to know you. I guess we all have to be a little standoffish to a degree, because there's so many crazy people out there. You don't know who you're dealing with. But once you get to know the person, once we got to know each other pretty good, went up to Rhode Island a few times, and they came down here a few times. So we were really good.
That's awesome. I see that you're really active in your community. You're not only are you the principal chief, but you are active in your community. Did you want to share some of the things that your tribal nation is doing in your area with the people?
Absolutely. If you see me being active, then please understand that there's a whole team of people who are also active out there that you may not be seeing. Sometimes you get to see them in some of the videos I post or pictures on Facebook, but everybody is really active and trying to run a tight ship. I keep saying crazies, I don't know if you've seen that movie, The Crazies. They were drinking some tainted water. Well, I don't know what a lot of these folks drink or what they're eating, what they're listening to, but we have a tight ship. Definitely, the women, you can't keep it tighter than they can, you know.
Right.
And yeah, it's like that story of the flaming sword. You can come and try if you want. Don't let them catch you. So they're tight, and they can spot out a fraud, red flag them real quick, and then they do an investigation because people have been from different places. Can we join? I think I have Tuscarora ancestry, and you know, they look them up, and they're very much involved in Moorish stuff or some other things that gives you a red flag. There was even one guy who was affiliated with. He was in a tribe that Hemok created, and you know, trying to come. You know, what are you doing? If this is you created the tribe that you want to be in, why are you over here trying to cause problems? Be over there and be happy. Yeah. Our folks are very, very involved in water rights, land, and air. One of the big monsters that we've been constantly fighting here is Cumoris. We had some people, a film crew, come here. A documentary is supposed to be coming out sometime in the near future on Netflix and a few other streaming platforms, where they were interviewing us, talking to other people in the community. But it's about the water. They call it forever chemicals, Gen X, PFAS. We've known people here who have died from it, and people here who are still having complications, brain surgery. A mother who had issues with her child because of that, and now her daughter is showing symptoms in her bloodline, and it just goes on and on and on. So yeah, very active with protecting our environment.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
because if I'm not mistaken, wasn't it supposed to be trying to bring an oil pipeline through there?
Yes. And see, we have a cousin here. She's Skarure Woccon from the Indian Woods Reservation. She's a water protector. She's also a part of the AIM chapter here. You got Crystal Cavalier. She's Okanichi Saponi. She's very active when it comes to environment, and I think she's yeah. All of them are part of the AIM chapter here in the Carolinas. So, if as a matter of fact, they went up to Raleigh to protest the pipes coming through. So yeah, they're very active, very, very active. I listened to some of the elders talk about how the older people today need to get out of the younger folks' way, because the younger folks want to go out and stop things, and they're not afraid to do it, while a lot of your older folks have been overtaken with fear. So I see a lot of courage around here. That's what I'm seeing from our folks. It's a lot of courage, but I also see some fear too. You know, I see a look both sides. With the fear part just comes education and reconnecting to your ancestry. When your ancestors is walking with you, and when you really are walking this path because you believe in it with all your mind, heart, and your spirit, and your intentions is right, when you go out there, can't nobody stop you, especially when you compound that with other family members, other relatives, other tribes that's standing and walking with you. They can't stop that. So what they do is sow seeds of division, and then they put these agents out there sowing misinformation, division within the tribes they try to create, and then out on these social media platforms, you got people spitting off misinformation, dividing people. Now you got people out here parroting misinformation and just looking all kinds of crazy, not taken serious, and being called lunatic and stupid and all other kind of names. If you read some of these comments, you'll see it. And I can't get mad at it. I'm not going to get mad at it because they're not talking to me. They're talking to a lot of these clowns out there, you know, that just say anything off the top of their head because they think it sounds good. And it does sound good to people who don't know the history. It sounds great to them. But people who know, people who are into culture, with their not all bloodline, I'm talking about with your mind and your heart. Because an indigenous person will tell you that it's about this, it's about these connections here. Your mind and your heart, not just your blood. Blood can betray you. But when you got a good mind, when you got the right mind, you know, and you walking that same path, that's your relative.
Yes, I agree. Did you want to break down your ATASA? Am I pronouncing that acronym right?
Yes. Yes. It's actually not an acronym. It's a word, and it's actually a Creek word. It means war club, because the club was a symbol of war and a symbol of peace. And according to the Seminoles, it had a cosmological meaning to it, bringing order, you know, throughout the universe. It's crazy. I was reading, I think it was some military records and some interviews by some old Seminoles. And I've been looking for that PDF. I'm gonna find it because it's in my stash somewhere. I got it stored somewhere. I got so much stuff, I had to figure out where I put it. But yeah, it had a physical and a spiritual meaning to it. So I said, Tasa, very cool. So that's what pretty much what I started out with. And like I tell people, this wasn't something I discovered in some cave on a scroll that was left there by some mystical monk. This came from my years of martial art experience and all of the teachers on the way. And I have a friend who's in Charlotte now. We call him Lakota James. He's Lakota. He's also, he trains different branches of the military, SEALs, Rangers, and so forth, in dealing with tactical stuff. And he's a primitive living expert. So he helped me pretty much, he helped me get my thoughts together and showing me that, you know, your ancestors, your Eastern Woodland ancestors wouldn't be as different, that much different than the way you see your grandparent and everybody doing things today. There's a little shift that has to take place. I mean, everything is not identical, but it's in you. Basically, what he's saying, everything that you're trying to do is in you. You just have to pull it out because you have a genetic tie to it. So he helped me out a lot with putting this together.
Awesome. So, Pa, you got to spend time with Chief Eagle Elk with the martial arts. I know that is your thing too.
Yeah, we was down on the reservation. You know, I actually made a red stick for him. You know what I'm saying? And you can actually see him working with the red stick in one of his earlier videos. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we got to work on some katas together, and he was showing me some techniques and everything what you can do with it. So yeah.
That's
and
awesome.
Pa, that demonstration you did with the tomahawks, that was really nice, man.
Oh yeah. You know that that's my thing right there. I use the tomahawk just like a comma. You know, most people don't know what a comma is, but a comma is actually was used to cut down crops. It was made like a sickle shape. So, you know, wherever I use as a comma, I use it with the tomahawk. Same method.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the guys I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, go
Yeah,
ahead.
go
I
ahead.
was going to ask you to expound on your book about martial arts. Also.
Okay. Yeah, one of the guys that you're going to bring on, so one is our historian, the other one is a council member who's also president of the Thunderbird Warrior Society. So he's been very pivotal in some of the advancements we've been making in bringing us out to the people. We haven't haven't done any kind of official launches yet, but I don't see that being too far off. We're still putting everything together. It's not you think about it and then you just make it happen. If you want something that's going to have some longevity to it, you have to put some thought into it. So it's definitely coming together. And so I wrote a book. It's on Amazon. It's called I Am Savage. And you will see in the first page, as I'm explaining savage, is you would have to do whatever you have to do by any means necessary in order to survive. You will become a savage. You would have to become a savage. So that was the title of the book. I'm what you call that when you are revising? Yeah. Well, yeah. There's gonna be go ahead.
I was just listening. You said a revising.
Yeah, there's gonna be another version.
Okay.
Yeah, more stuff in it. Keith is actually Longclaw that's coming on. He's actually helping me a lot with it. So it's going to be a lot more to it. Right now, as it is in the book now, it's pretty much just given the presence that there is indigenous American martial arts. It does exist. It's not a myth. It does. I have it also on my Native American martial arts YouTube channel, where I'm showing martial arts in Africa, martial arts in Asia, in different parts of Europe, in Russia, in the Philippines, basically all over the world. They had a form of martial arts, but everybody just thinks that it's supposed to be something that's only in Asia. When I had my school in Charlotte, we had a lady bring in a bunch of kids from school into one of my classes, and he heard a lot about my class. One little kid, little black kid, he heard a lot about my class. And when he came in, he said, "Man, I thought you was Chinese," because of what he was hearing. And I said, "Do I have to be from China in order to know martial art?" Yeah. I said, "All right, get in line." Well, I mean, that's just what people think, man. Whatever they put out on television is what people believe.
Yeah. Yeah. So you destroyed that myth real quick.
Oh yeah. It's there's a lot of folks out there doing some good things now. I mean, you got the Kichita up in Canada. You got Snake Blocker and Red Feather, the Apache fighters out west, and I think the Seminole martial arts in Florida, I think they practice more of a Japanese, but they mix in things from the Seminole culture, and sometimes they even have displays where they're only doing things from their culture, from the Seminole culture in warfare. So there's a few of us from different parts of the map, on the different parts of the map that's doing things here. There's been some folks who came out, like this guy came out back in the 70s wearing a bunch of deer skin with fringes and calling it a Native American martial arts, and all it was Aikido.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, if you go out there and you're fraudulent, the martial arts community is hard, it's rigid. They'll let you know. They'll let you know. But what I would like to say, there are similarities in a lot of the martial arts. An arm can only your elbow can only bend one way. So if I apply pressure against the back of your arm, it's going to break. It's going to break in Africa the same way it's going to break in the Philippines, the same way it's going to break in America. So some things look the same. What really sets it apart, though, is the philosophy and mainly the philosophy behind it.
My sister said the technique and the intentions behind it.
Yes.
Well, did you want to bring? I have them on the screen. Long Claw and LC. Did you want to?
Yeah, bring them on in.
They're
Yeah.
muted right now, but
Welcome to the
Greetings,
South
greetings.
Talking
yeah,
Stick, yo.
yes, welcome.
Joanne, it's gonna.
So you have Quiet Owl, that's LC. He's our tribal historian. And you have Chief Longclaw. He's our council member, and he's has his tentacles in a lot of different things. You know, he's one of those type of guys, very business minded. So LC is very straightforward, not a lot of fluff, and the truth is the truth, whether you're able to take it or not. But I don't want to put any words in their mouth, so leave that up to them.
Well, welcome. Did you all have any words to say?
I wanted to thank you for having us on and giving our tribe an opportunity to speak. I've been walking this road with my cousin since I guess I could say we found each other. Coming up on 3 years now, and I've helped the tribe to get a few things done, and I hope to get a lot more done before they close my eyes and put me in that box. I grew up just a regular kid, like everybody else, scraping knees, riding bikes, all the lot. One memory that stands out above most of them is me sitting at my grandparents' table, trying not to eat the greens. Can't keep me away from greens now, of course. But my aunt asked my mother's father, my grandfather, she said, "David, what are we?" And my granddad looked left, he looked right. He almost looked like he was looking up in the ceiling. He said, "We Blackfoot." And my mother, she said, "Blackfoot, black hand, black behind, black everything." But that stayed in my mind until I got older and was trying to figure out for myself what the heck was my granddaddy talking about. As I began to look at his genealogy, I believe in regards to one of his ancestors, which was a Lee, I believe he was talking about Sisbahal. But of course, my grandfather, he didn't have a high school education, but he passed away with a perfect credit score and built his own house and had multiple jobs and businesses. He was a bootlegger, he was a sailor, he was a longshoreman. Yeah, so that didn't stop him from doing much of anything. And I'm very thankful to have what little time I had with him and my great grandmother growing up. You won't find us doing a lot of arguing online because we really don't have the time. Because once you know and you really, really, really know, it's time to go to work. And mainly what I do for the tribe at this point in time is special projects. Right now, the tribe is putting up additional funds to put together an art history collection. We've been requested by one of the townships that recognizes us to have sort of an education day for the town. So we're trying to hurry up and get this knocked out before the end of the year. And I definitely want to make sure that gets done. I've been putting that on the front burner. The Atasa manual is all but completed, and what it needs right now is editing, and we need to print up a couple of filler copies. And we haven't forgot about your pa. You definitely on the hot list. But that's just a few of the irons that are in the fire for the tribe. There's a lot of different things. Obviously, we can't say in public. A lot of good things that are coming up here in the near future. Chief may elucidate to that. I'm not going to elucidate that. I don't. The count saying bite me on the butt. But again, I want to thank you guys for having us on. I'm gonna hush from so my cousin Quiet Owl can say a few things, and I hear the stick.
You're welcome. You're very much welcome.
Yes, you are welcome. Thank you for coming.
And thank you for coming on.
Good evening, good evening. And y'all, thank you for having us on. My cousin, Chief Eagle Elk, and when I say cousin, because I hear this online a lot, with people saying we're relatives. When I say he's my cousin, I mean like my fifth grandfather and his third grandfather were brothers. That's what I mean by cousin. Like we are genealogically blood relatives, right? I come from the Roberts lines that was at Indian Woods, as well as Lower Tuscarora people on my mom and my dad's side. So when we say we Skarure people, it's by blood and genealogy. So being historian, I've always been very adamant about understanding how our people came to be, how we ended up where we were, because those things are very important. Because one of the things they really don't always talk about is, for one, when it comes to Woccon people, they lived within what I guess the colonists would say was 2 leagues from the Tuscarora. So if you're looking at European measurements, a league was just 3 miles. So 2 leagues is 6 miles. That's not that far of a gap. So they protected each other. So when you hear someone say, you know, they came from the Woccon, they amalgamated in, once you're amalgamated, you are no longer whatever you were before. That's what amalgamation was. So they became, like he said, Tuscarora people. So we carry the bloodlines of those relatives. And it's very important that people understand that genealogy is great, but going back to your community and being in your community and understanding what that culture is even more important. So that's pretty much, like you said, I'm a straightforward person. I don't mince my words, but I'm respectful. So I'm grateful to be here.
We appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And most people don't realize that, you know, they want to just use a certain word just to say Aboriginal or indigenous, and that blanket a whole variety of things instead of getting straight to the specifics of things dealing with that bloodline, you know. And then you have people that have the bloodline, but they don't have the ceremony. And then you have those that have the ceremony that don't have the bloodline. You know what I'm saying? So, so once again, it's very important when people can go ahead on and get both. You know what I'm saying? And also get your language too. Your language is very important.
Yeah, language is definitely important. Because we are Unkohunwe people, Unkohunwe, which means the real people, human beings. Most tribal nations will have a name that they call themselves, whether it's the real people, you know, the first peoples, etc. We are Unkohunwe. Like that's who we are, and that's what we call ourselves. That's what our ancestors always called themselves. So language is very important.
Yes. Do you offer language classes, Chief, for your tribal nation?
Yes, we have a lady who's been working with us for some years now, just through sharing documents with us. She's actually a fluent speaker and a teacher, but she's up in age and have been having some problems with her family, her husband, taking care of him. So she didn't have time to actually have classes, but based off of the information that she shared with us, and whenever I ask her a question, if I send her a message, she'll answer it as far as the language. So, yeah, we do have language classes sometimes. We'll go over certain things. It's, you know, like Quiet Owl said, language is very important, very important. So if we didn't offer any kind of language class, we would be doing a disservice to our people.
Did you have anything before I ask away?
Well, that's basically correct, you know. And when you have your language, you actually set a precedence for that jurisdiction that you're speaking of. you know. But you actually say who you are, who your family is, and so forth and so on, you know. And that's where the people in the Aboriginal community is missing, because they're not talking to their tribal elders. They're not going into these tribal nations that they claim that's in their blood. You know what I'm saying? They're not trying to repatriate into the nation from which they say they descended lineal from, you know, or they're not even much trying to be adopted into a nation. They just want to Aboriginals on the internet, on the community. Now, how you have a community on the internet, I'm really trying to figure that out. That's something that's beyond my comprehension. That, you know, I'm like, I got a community online. Like, come on, you know.
Forget about joining a community or being adopted. I just create one. That's what I see a lot of people doing. I just make one up.
Oh
and,
yeah.
And they're completely fine with that. But I think right now, people across the country are wising up to that. So I see a lot of talk about pretendians and abos, and I see a lot of talk not only from some of the folks on this side of Mississippi, but also on the other side. So people are waking up. You know, sometimes they may have some good information, but the rhetoric behind it, their intentions, they just have a bad mind.
Yeah.
They're not out in the community trying to do anything. They don't talk to any of the tribes in the states that exist, and if they do, we have no evidence that they are. I mean, they talk about tribes, but we don't see them actually engaging with any of them. And there's one guy who says he's a Cherokee. I'm just not calling his name. Who created the whole Niji? Who stole, not create, who stole the Niji word? He said he was Cherokee and that he was a part of the tribe, and his father or grandfather, somebody took him to the reservation, but none of that stuff, there's no video. He's got video of everything else except for that. Why not have any kind of community involvement? And if you're claiming something, where are they at? I think Turtle was playing something on his show. Let's see. He was playing a show on his show, and I think some folks contacted the Cherokee and they didn't claim them. So that's letting you know that there's lies. People are lying out there, and making money. It's not right.
And then another thing is you have in the Aboriginal internet community that they are saying that the transatlantic slave trade never happened, you know, but yet if you talk to these tribal nations in the Southeast, they say something totally different.
It definitely happened. So I don't know why. Well, first of all, to say the slave trade didn't happen in general would be disingenuous, because you have to deal with our relatives up and down the East Coast that were already been sold into slavery before and during the transatlantic slave trade. You can't skip over that, because our relatives were being sold right across the county line to the point to where, and Chief Eagle, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but they were sneaking off Madam Mesquite Reservation, going to the plantations, getting people back. Like, it's documented. They were tired of Tuscarora people going off the Reds to go get people. They didn't care whether you were mixed, full. It didn't matter. If you were of our people, we bring you home. That was their thought process.
Right.
It got to the point where South Carolina said if they caught any of us down there, they were going to kill us on the spot.
Right.
Yeah. What they should focus on is, okay, yes, they embellished the numbers. They shouldn't go on to say a lie saying it never happened. That's where they F up. It's exhausting. But that just like took me somewhere else. But Pa, you got anything? Because I'm about to.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing, right? The Aboriginal internet community, they just want to be full-blooded Indians with no admixtures.
Mm-hmm.
And, and it's like, okay, well, how you have the Seminoles that had the Escaluse then, or which became known as the Black Seminoles, if that didn't happen, and even during certain times where you had the Indian slave trade that happened, well, certain people didn't get along, but when you found out they had an enemy, they rallied together,
Mm-hmm.
if against those that was dealing with that. But once again, people would not know this because they're not a part of no tribal nation. If they was a part of a nation, they would know this. But they say these things, but still, it's still on the internet. Being the community on the internet, I never saw anybody go and have ceremony. You know what I'm saying? But they'll go to a powwow, but you don't have a chance to sit down with the elders and be taught like we do traditionally. You know what I'm saying? But hey, maybe one day they'll get it right and stop with all the misinformation.
I don't know. I don't know if they will, man. Seems like they're getting worse. They're bragging about how many subscribers and likes, and I think it's about how many people can I get to follow me. And you track how many people's following you through your subscriptions, and then when you actually have on a show, how many people's liking it, and that's their purpose. That's their purpose. When you're really taught, again, mind, body, spirit in your heart, screaming from your bloodline, you're taught that you have responsibility. That's all behind your clans. You have a responsibility. What is your responsibility? Why are you here? Now that you know who you are, you know your clan, what is your responsibility? Because everyone has one. I hear all the elders talking about responsibilities, but these guys are irresponsible because they say and they do anything.
Yeah, and speaking on the admixture, Cheeto Pop, you cannot be from the Eastern Woodlands, Northeast or Southeast, and you don't have an admixture. It's impossible. We have Irish, Scottish, etc. Even some other tribes might have married in, but most of our blood obviously is Skarure or Tuscarora. But for relatives to, or for people, I should say, to say that we're not mixed or we're just, no, that's not possible. Especially if you're from a Virginia or a tribe within the Carolinas.
And then what American is? Like what Chief just said about responsibility. Who these guys and ladies have to answer to when they're out of line?
Nobody.
They're
Nobody.
wolves, so
They don't have nobody to pull their foottails, so therefore they're basically wild Indians.
Their subscribers. They're answering to their subscribers.
They have nobody to answer to, and you can't verify their information because grandma is the fall guy. Everything is on grandma. That's why I say, well, where's the community then? Verify it through your community involvement. Verify yourself. Verify what you claim, who you claim to be, by showing your community. Does the community claim you? The community that you claim, do they claim you? Is the question. And then what are you doing for the community, in the community? What are you doing? If you're spending 6 hours and 10 hours on YouTube, you can't be doing too much in the community. Your community is your living room or bedroom with your computer. Internet community. And, you know,
Hey, look,
I'm not hating on, you know, podcasts and YouTube shows, those are good, but those are supplements to show what's going on in the community.
Right.
The YouTube isn't the community. Go ahead, Pa.
and you know what? They don't even much do a disclaimer, right? They don't even much do a disclaimer. Say, well, I like to do a disclaimer to say that anything that I say will be on my own personal merit, you know, and not the merit of my nation. They don't say none of that. But yet, I noticed that when they're not of a nation, they get to talk about everybody else, but they specifically talk about the nation that they're supposed to be from. And I find that strange because, you know, one of the guys, he had somebody on his show and said that the Muskogee and them was Moors and Muslims, and that the Creeks were Greeks. And I'm like, where that happened?
What?
Yeah. And then I'm like, they always talk about somebody being white, but yet you got a so-called who's teaching you this information, but he's not of a nation or nothing, you know. But you know, he called himself the old world Florida. You know what I'm saying? Talking about that the Muskogee is Muslims and that Tallahassee means Allah. And I'm like, oh no, it doesn't mean that. And I'm like, how people are so gullible to fall for that? It said that the Seminole was Semites. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, where did that?
Please, please, people, learn who you are and learn your tribal ways.
Wow.
But the only way they can do that is if they go back home.
Right.
You can read 1,000 books, but there are things that you are not going to learn until you're sitting down with your people, with your clan members, with the relatives that are designated to teach. Like, it's just some stuff you're not going to get in a book.
Right.
There was a guy on Facebook who was claiming to be a genealogist, was helping somebody who said they had ancestry, Tuscarora ancestry, and connected them to us, and gave her all kinds of false hope because his information was so generic. The only way you're going to know these families is to talk to them. Some names changed over time. Like we have a family name that existed in the 1600s that did not exist anymore as a family name in the late 1700s. It changed. I mean, that's why I don't get into other folks' business, because I don't know their families like that. I know my family, I know our folks, but I don't know everybody's family, so I stay out of their business. I'm not an expert in them. You know, going on the other side of the Mississippi, I'm gonna get all into the Lakota's business and tell them who they are. I don't know their families like that. And there's so much to do over here. Why am I spending my time trying to belittle and downgrade them? Those folks has been fighting. They've been fighting a good fight for a long time. Now you just waking up and realizing that you may have some ancestry. Now you're going on the hate rampage. I hate Africans. I hate all Native Americans. You know, you hate everybody. You hate yourself. You just don't know it.
Yeah, that's the source of the problem.
I think one of the additional issues that people are facing, because at first, a few years ago, it looked really positive. People were actually digging into their family history, pulling records, and having that aha moment. But the problem being, a lot of them had an aha moment that didn't show them an Indian. It showed them a long and healthy line of European family history. a long and healthy line of Spanish history, and so on and so forth. But you can't make the Indian magically appear. Either you can, or you're probably not. And I think that's where I saw a lot of people in social media doubling back down on the ooh, look, I found this old book and this Indian look like me type of stuff. Which is fine when you tie the genealogy back into that book. Some of the information that I gave to Chief and the tribe when I first discovered them, and I began to petition the tribe. There was a lot of books written about the Croatans of Sampson County, from which Chief and I descend. We are both descendants of Brewington, and I also descend from Faircloth. But you know, you could go to the books written by George E. Butler, and he tells you very plainly, reciting some other government agents that were sent down there to find out about who exactly are these Croatans of Sampson County and why they crying for their own school. They said plainly, you know, we've been calling these Indians mulattoes since the beginning of time and memorial, and you know, we just try to push them into the Negro school, and unquote. And but that type of book or those type of quotes, they don't really help you a lot if you can't tie yourself back into that history. And people just got to understand the books are great, but don't leave the genealogy alone. You're doing great with the genealogy. And I always see red flags when I'm watching people, and they're the chiefess of the chiefess, and they're the empress of the empire, and you ain't showing me nothing there, cousin. You ain't showing me that you care about the community, and some do community, but where's your folks? Why aren't you trying to put your folks together? When you say a name, whatever tribal name that you find, whatever tribal name that you call it, and the pilgrim says that's dead, that tribe is dispersed, that tribe is dead. They're talking about commercial presence. They're talking about a professional presence. So when Chief talks about how he's finding folks, I mean, right now we're scheduled to go to multiple family reunions within the region, and I hope we can make all of them, because all of those are potential tribal members once their genealogy is vetted, and then they show like mind and like heart. But it's all about finding your folks, and all this social media Indian stuff. It's wasting time. The most valuable thing you have that you can't put back is wasting your time.
And then another thing is too that you just can't do genealogy just on the keyboard. You're going to have to get up and travel and go to those places, because some of them haven't been digitalized yet. So you're going to have to go to the old courthouses. You're going to have to go to the old church. You have to go to the old city.
Or the genealogy libraries too.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I got a hot date in South Carolina at the Historical Society here pretty soon. I'm hunting for a document. So you're on point 100%, Bob.
Yeah, but
go ahead.
I thought I was going to see y'all at the powwow that happened in the early part of May. You know, that we had the little green corn, ceremony and stuff. Maybe I'll see y'all next year.
I wanted to dip in and bring some flowers, but darn it, we be on grandpa duty up here.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah, I was gonna add, if a lot of people would just go back to the communities, if they come from the families, they would find out a lot of stuff. Because when you're dealing with Virginia, Carolinas, a lot of the families are intermarried multiple times across multiple lines, across multiple families. Somebody's gonna know where you come from and who your people are, because they've been there for so long. So you can't just randomly be like, well, I'm this. Okay, well, where your people from? What community are they from? Because even though all the communities don't have the same names, those things are important. But I know I can go back to my grandfather, and I used to be able to go back to my late grandmother and say, hey, do we have cousins over here? Yeah, this is so-and-so, that's so-and-so. They went to school here, they was over there. Because, and I don't mind saying this, my grandparents themselves were at minimum fifth cousins. That's how connected the families are. So you can't just come out and be like, I'm related because I got this last name. Okay, who are you? Who are your people? And can people please stop getting upset when somebody asks that question? Nobody's trying to go secretly look at your genealogy or take somebody off your tree or none of that's a normal question in the communities.
Mm-hmm. That's a normal Carolina question, actually.
Yeah, that too. That's a normal Carolina question. But
I was asked that question a few days ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even all the way from Louisiana, who your mama and them?
Yeah, people have to stop getting so defensive because the mindset and the way things are done in tribal communities is a totally different world if you grew up in Black culture. I'm just being real. And a lot of people don't know how to separate the two. Even though we're a Tuscarora community, we can't just go to Skarure Cottonwaka to those cousins over there or the cousins over in Robinson County and Robeco and just show up. They relatives, but they're going to be like, okay, why are you here? What's going on? Who are you? Like, that's important because we're separate, autonomous communities who are all collectively Tuscarora people. If we can't just do what we want and we're in the nation, why do you think you can come from the outside and do your own thing?
That part.
Well, Quiet Out is talking about his protocol, and I don't see a lot of protocol. The knowledge of protocol has been lost with a lot of people around here. They don't know how to go about contacting and speaking with people in leadership in a respectful way. I'm not saying kiss anybody's rear end, but there are certain ways that you have to talk to the community, talk to people if you want to get anything done. But some folks don't care how they sound because your intentions is not to go into communities anyway. Your community is YouTube. And the people that you've gathered around you like the way you talk, which encourages you to keep talking that way. But as soon as you step away from YouTube and you try to go out in the real world, you're going to find out that the real world is not going to accept you the way you are. You're going to have to grow up. You can't talk like you're at the club.
It's called real tribal etiquette.
Tribal etiquette. Exactly.
Yeah, and it's fear also. This is why they have their own little online communities. It's fear of going to an actual tribal meeting, tribal nation meeting with the elders, that they're scared of that for some reason. This is why they have their own little community where they can be the quote unquote self-appointed chiefs and all of these titles, but it's based in fear. That's what I've noticed.
They may question your genealogy, like who's your people, if you go talk to these tribes, and you're not going to be able to have a dialogue because maybe you're not from those people. Is that why you're not talking with the tribes? Or do you feel like you're above everybody? What I take from a lot of these communities, they feel like they're above everybody. I'm the original, all over the planet, Aboriginal, so on and so on and so on. I'm above all of y'all. You know, that's the energy they put out there. So if they feel like they're above everybody, then why are they going to go to a tribe who they feel is beneath them? Now, if they did go to that tribe and that tribe said, well, who's your people? What you going to say? You don't have a video library on your channel showing any kind of community involvement where these tribes are, where you say that you're from. It's just a lot of hot air, and it's ridiculous. A lot of hot air.
Well, maybe this will encourage, because they're watching, maybe this will encourage them to, at least one out of every, 50 of them, maybe this will encourage them to connect with their tribal nation.
Well, I'll say this, because the Eagle Elk was down there on the reservation, and there was a gentleman who actually started a group, and he went down there and he told the chief, and he was trying to throw salt on another chief, not knowing that the chiefs and them is related. And so he was trying to find out if he was of my nation. And you know, my chief told him no. So he got kind of discouraged. And then he went to go see a chief by the name of Red Chief that was down there in Alabama. And I don't know what happened with that, but the person wound up leaving, going back to the West. You know, he has a huge following on the social media circuit. And it's like when his followers came, it was claiming my cousin as his chief. I'm like, dude, how he your chief? You're not even much Yamassee. You're not even much enrolled. What clan you from? Like, dude. Oh, your chief embrace me. Dude, embracing you not enrolled. You don't. Like, no, we're not doing that, homie.
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
People are hijacking. They're hijacking.
Right.
Yeah, just because Chief embraced him doesn't mean that he is a part of the tribe.
Right. Chief just was being cordial. You know, we know who our bloodline is. You know, and it's funny how the same person, he said chief is his chief, but yet he's going that cousin Norris. It's like, dude, how you gonna do that? Like, we don't attack no tribal people. Like, where you going with that? You know? But he's a little young knucklehead, but he'll learn later on. He'll learn.
Yeah, they still have that street mentality, and they have to separate that street mentality from, as you said, tribal etiquette.
Right.
Yeah, we must talk again, Chief. We did kind of talk about the McCoys, but you mentioned the Jacobs, and we'll talk about the Jacobs. Those were some names that you threw out there. We'll discuss that a little later. Got anything that you want to focus on, Pod, before we let everybody get back to their lives?
Well, you know, once again with the martial arts, what most people don't know is that it's basically guerrilla warfare, right? Guerrilla warfare tactics. And that's how the Marines and them learn from us by dealing with stealth tactics. Also the stick fighting also resembles Kalima, right? Where we have a war club in one hand and a shadow knife in another hand, you know, or any kind of red stick or any club, you know what I'm saying? And that's also related to Kalima, if most people know what Kalima is, you know. So yeah, we have our own martial arts and everything because it started out as a game, right? As a game, and one of those games would be like the Brother of Little War, you know what I'm saying? Which is a game, but we still had our differences dealing with the game of Little War, you know, which is the Little Brother of War. So you have these things like you wrestle, you know what I'm saying? You grapple, all that was a part of our training, you know.
Yep. Yeah. When it comes to, you know, I like to tell people you need to have full coverage not just know how to fight on your standing up on your feet, but you need to know how to defend yourself on the ground. Be defensive so you can get back to your feet. Full coverage, not just one side or the other. You know, just like full coverage in your automobile. You know, you're protected all the way around. Well, if you're on the ground and somebody's trying to choke you out or whatever they're trying to do, there's certain little things that you can do to help get you back to your feet, so you can continue to either run or continue attack or whatever you're doing. So, yeah, it's an interesting journey. The Filipino arts, that's an indigenous art to their land, using a lot of the same things that we used here. You know, taken from whatever Mother Earth gives you, and you take that and transform it into whatever you need it to be, tool or weapon. The Philippines showed Magellan and those guys that, hey, with sticks and stones, we can break your bones. And they did. The military, the Marines, where they get leatherneck from? They were getting their necks slashed in the jungle. So they started wearing these leather straps around their neck. And if you notice in the Philippines, when they're holding their weapons, it's in a boxing style, the way they're holding their weapon. So there's going to be a lot of similarities. We're not doing dive rolls and all. How are you going to dive in the swamp? You know, with roots, cypress roots and all that kind of stuff. You break your back trying to do front rolls. We're not out in the desert or in the plains area where it's a lot of flat ground. Certain things over here we can't do. You know, now our ancestors used to take the armor from the Spanish and use it as a teaching tool to find the areas that's vulnerable, so you can pierce those areas. You know, they try to make us. They really try to make us like we're like the people from this land were ignorant. When they would take everything, they would take in, whether it's a gun or whatever it is, and then become experts in it. That's a mastery level stuff there. So I'm excited about pushing this and letting it continue to evolve and outgrow even the thoughts I'm having, outgrow my thinking, just evolve and just outgrow me and let it go. There's a lot of people interested in it. In Charlotte, we had women's self-defense, and, you know, me and another guy, James, we actually had quite a few ladies who won tournaments, you know, in grappling. I'm not a grappler, but I know how to grapple through getting my butt kicked by purple belts and black belts. I have a video of a black belt submitting me. I made him work for it, but he submitted me. So you can't be afraid to take a whipping. That's how you learn. That's from the martial arts stuff. And like my teacher told me, everything that happens in the studio, in the home, or in the dojo is lessons for outside. So like in there, you can't be afraid. When you go out, you can't be afraid to talk to these tribes. You need to go and start talking to people. Oh, they're not going to like me because I don't look like them. Or they're not going to like me. No, they just want to know who's your people.
Right.
That's all. That's the start of the dialogue. Who's your people? Now, if you have the ancestry, you won't mind saying it. But if you don't have the ancestry, you'll just probably avoid having a conversation at all, which is what a lot of you do. I don't know who you are. I don't know your ancestry. I really don't care. You know, my main focus is our folks, our environment, my kids and my grandbabies, and all of the grandbabies who are a part of us, and all of the nations we're connected to, and all of my relatives across the land who know we're connected through our clan system. Other than that, I don't have time for nothing else. Too busy, and just don't have time for the foolishness.
Chief, speaking of that, you know I have over 20 primitive weapons. I have over 20.
20.
I have over 20. I have over 20 primitive weapons.
You made them?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I made them.
Well,
Because
I can't wait to see that collection.
because I was like, what did the ancestors do? I say because if who controls the gunpowder, who controls the bullet shells, who controls the armory, basically. And I'm like, if time was to come and you can't buy no bullets, then what you gonna use for survival?
Right.
You know, and then if you buy a swedger, then they gonna know why you buying the swedger for. I mean, you can buy a swedger, but you still got to get the gunpowder, the shell, and the bullets. And then if you get too much amount of gunpowder, they gonna know what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, I have a lot of primitive weapons. I've been working with them in the backyard. You know what I've been doing, more shows.
Well, that's good. That's good. I can't wait to see your collection, man,
Yeah.
and see you work them.
Oh, somebody trying to give us some music. That was you, Jaguar. You being the DJ over there?
No, I was trying to share.
Hey, Pa, is somebody doing your hair?
Yeah, my sister doing my hair.
Oh, okay. I was wondering if I was seeing things. Okay.
Yeah, that's how I keep my fresh so locked, so fresh and so clean.
Nice.
Yeah, hair at the root, baby. You got a free advertisement and plug in.
Thank y'all. Come on.
Yeah.
Always open.
So, you know, there's only one person that can do my locks, you know. So yeah.
Yeah,
But that's the thing, you know. Yeah, dealing with the training and stuff, that's a must. When you're part of a warrior society, you know, there's things that people need to train for, you know, and you know, most people, they don't even much know how to hunt, they don't know how to trap, they don't know how to fish, you know what I'm saying? Basically, they don't know how to live off the land. Some do, but some don't, you know, and that's one way. You know, if anything was to happen in society, how you gonna feed your family and yourself? That's another thing, you know. Being on the internet is not your family.
Sometime in the near future, we're going to have a primitive living weekend. It's something I've been thinking about for the past 4 years, and yeah, I've been thinking about it for a while. Just haven't been able to pull all the resources together yet. Bring in different people in, for instance, like Lakota James, and you know, about 5 minutes away from where I live, there's an elder and his wife. His wife is Inuit and he's Mi'kmaq, and they live here. I don't know how they found their way here but I'm glad they are because they came with a wealth of knowledge. So they know they're pretty good with primitive living as well, and bringing other people in. And I want to be able to accommodate. So we got certain locations that give us what we need for when you have to go out and make fire or making shelter and all these different things. And then we water everywhere. So as I keep working on this and pulling it together in the very near future, just putting it out there, we're going to have a primitive living weekend. And bring your tents whenever we happen. Bring your tents because you'll probably be sleeping outside.
That's very much needed, Chief, because you know, I don't know if anybody been watching the news, but they're supposed to have high levels of hurricanes this season coming up, and the water has been hot. The water been boiling, you know, and it's gonna be a time where you can't be comfortable. You're not gonna have an air conditioner. You're not gonna have a refrigerator. You're not gonna have a bathtub or a shower. You're gonna have to make these things natural. You
Yep.
know,
Yep.
you're gonna have, you know, you might not have toilet paper. You might have to learn how to use certain leaves to make sure you don't get no poison ivy to wipe your butt with, or the poison oak to wipe your butt with. Right? You know, because you're gonna be itching instead of
I mean,
you know, itching instead of.
I'm out here at the yard today, and I sliced my hand on a rusty something that came off of the swing set, and I was chopping down some of these pine tree limbs that fell, and as I cut my hand, wiped it off, I just took the sap, you know, the resin from it, and sealed up the cut, and healed it. And, you know, when I was done outside, I went in and washed it and put some peroxide on it. But there's medicines out here, and there's courses to teach you about these medicines. And there's people out here, elders and other folks, and you know, I'm not putting everything on the elders. There's a lot of knowledgeable people out here, people in their 20s and 30s that can teach you stuff about living off the planet. You just have to be open-minded enough to listen to people, and don't think you know everything.
Yep, you're absolutely right. You know, because they probably got that information from the elders. You know I do. So yeah, so these things, you know, have to learn how to make a tent. You know, it mostly when you was a child, you learn how to make a tent out of your bed sheet, out of your comforter or your quilt. So you know how to make it, but that was inside. So now you have to learn how to do it outside. You know, take that blanket, and if you have some plastic bags, line that plastic bag under there. That's to keep the rain from coming through. You know, so you know how to take a rope and pitch a tent. You know, so it's easy. There's certain many ways you can do it. You know, if you have some saran wrap, you can make a rain shelter. You know.
Mm-hmm. My daughter was looking at a show a little while ago. We was looking at the people over in the Congo, looking at how they live, and we was looking at the people over in Mongolia and looking at how they live. If they can do it, you can do it. They've been living that. They've been living that for thousands of years. Siberia, Mongolia, harsh winters, a lot of barren land, but they learned how to survive off of it because they were taught by the elders. Same in the Congo. We were looking at the pygmies and looking at how they were living over there. You know, the show was actually about weed. You know, the pygmies are capitalizing on weed right now. That's what the show was about. But I was looking at how they live too. So if they can do it, you can do it. Our ancestors here lived the same. They were able to live off the land. We've forgotten our way. We lost our way. We've been taught a different way that separates us from the sacred circle. Now we believe that we're above the circle. We dominate. We subdue, conquer and subdue. That's what the scriptures tell you to do. You know, in the language that you read it in anyway. So we just got to get back to the old ways, and that's a sustainable way of living. You have Oren Lyons talking about that all the time. Chief from the Onondaga talking about that all the time. You know, sustainable living. We've lost that. So we're going to get it back, slowly but surely.
Yeah, don't be afraid to get out your house. You got to get out of that mode of being comfortable.
Yeah.
And also make sure every home's supposed to have an emergency kit.
Yeah, I got one. I got my little gear.
I think Quiet Owl lost his signal. So he dropped out.
Yeah, he did that voluntarily, or it may have been an error.
Yeah, many people, if you ask them about Native American or indigenous martial arts here, They'll talk about mystery, they'll talk about myth. But at the end of the day, if you're paying attention to the historical documents left behind by the cavalry, the old army, the colonial forces, they will tell you that a lot of the methods and tactics used by the quote unquote red man, they absorbed. So if anyone has doubts, if anyone has issues, feel free to go join the army and become a ranger. A lot of the tactics and a lot of maneuvers that they do, that's been passed down from when they learned them from when they were taking the land from the indigenous people.
Well, I don't think I have any more questions. Chief covered the things that I wanted him to cover. Pa, you got anything?
Well, I'd like to know what's going on in the comment section. Do we have any comments or any questions? Or you want to go ahead on and put up the link and then somebody come on and ask a question if they choose to?
Yeah, I will share the link. Does anybody have a question for our special guest or the panel today?
Because I haven't been able to see the comments because I'm on my phone.
Yeah, everybody's just saying hello when they come in. Their traditional greeting. That's
And I'd
basically.
like to thank everybody who joined in the chat. Thank y'all for participating. So don't forget, press the link to share and subscribe. And we do have some merch. We're putting that out there. So, get the Southeastern TalkingStick. Get your lick, you heard me.
I would like to say something real quick about fauna. Fauna is not the Indian police. It's not the indigenous American police or Aboriginal. We're not police. Our fauna is not police. We're not policing who's indigenous or not. What you do see some of us talking about is some of the misinformation that we're seeing out there. Anybody with a good mind is going to speak against misinformation and things that are perceived to be lies. We're not questioning genealogy. If you have it, great. The way you put yourself out there, front and center, and as a leader with a community, whether it be on YouTube or whatever, then if you're asked, you should show some of your genealogy, show your community, show how you are the person or the people you're claiming to be. That's it. But we're not policing anyone. We've had some disgruntled folks who wanted to, how can we join fauna? Well, you can't. Fauna is a nation to nation type organization, not as an individual can join. Everybody has to go through the same process. Some people get pissed off about the process. The process, it is what it is. We all had to go through the process. And if you have the genealogical ties, if you have all the information that's required, there's no issue. But when you don't have that information, that's when you start getting disgruntled and then go off and make YouTube videos and start calling us names and all that kind of stuff. We don't think we're better than anyone. We don't have any beefs with the South. All these things that people are saying is just a bunch of garbage. There's no beefs. No one thinks they're better. Yes, we know who our family and who our people are, but you have that same ability. It's not like we have it's not like we have control over you finding out, or stop being stupid. Just stop being stuck on stupid. All of us have done stupid things before, but how long are you going to continue to be stupid? How long are you going to continue to do those things? I guess as long as people keep giving you their energy, I guess you'll keep on doing that, but I'm hoping that some of you guys and women actually have good intentions, maybe gotten off the path, but just because you get off the path don't mean you can't get back on it if you have good intentions, because you're always seeking truth. And if you're seeking truth, you'll get back on the path. And then once you're back on the path, you may realize that you said some things that you shouldn't have said that wasn't true. Take responsibility. We keep talking about responsibility. Own up to the things that you put out that wasn't right and correct it. Let the people see that you are a leader, that you're willing to say, I was wrong. I don't know everything. Can you say those things? A real leader, a real person, they would admit when they're wrong, take steps to correct the errors that they've committed, and then move on. That's all a part of growth. I've done things that I shouldn't have done. I was put on the spot, questioned. I owned up to it. I grew from the experience. I moved on. How many of you can say that, are willing to do that? It's not a special skill that I possess only. All of you have the ability to be bigger people or be better today than you were yesterday.
And what is FANA for the people who do not know? Can you break down real quick what is FANA?
Yeah, it's an acronym, stands for the Federation of Aboriginal Nations of the Americas. As a federation of nations, if you know anything about the Haudenosaunee or the what's known as the Iroquois Confederacy, it's modeled similarly to that. And FANA is not a tribe; it's an organization. It's a federation of tribes, but FANA is not a tribe itself, and it's not something that somebody can just join. And what FANA does is it helps all of the member tribes, basically creating policies and helping the government with establishing policies to deal with folks in our particular status, because they've never had to deal with people like us before. That's pretty much what it is. I know there's other organizations out there, and I don't have anything that I want to say about them. My vision and my focus is over here. I just hope whatever you guys are doing over there, I just hope you're doing being good, doing the right thing.
Right. Any events for your tribal nations that are coming up that you want to share with the people? Anything that you could share public, not your of course your private stuff.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna send you some information. Indigenous Peoples Day, that's our harvest gathering. Like a powwow, similar to a powwow, called powwow by some folks. We call it harvest gathering. That's going to be October the 12th, I think. It may be a 2-day event, but I'll get the information out to you. I'll also have it on my YouTube channel. It'll be on the Skarure Woccon Facebook page. It'll be on the SkarureWoccon.com website as well. So just look for events in October. It's not posted yet, but it will be posted real soon.
All right. There's a Chief Eagle Elk's Tribal Nation website if you want to check out what he's doing. Right. I did share the link. Does anybody have any questions or comments in the chat? Well, did anybody want to join in before we close out?
There's one little thing that's been weighing on my heart. I'd like to speak with the people that are listening in.
Okay.
Go ahead. Some years ago, there was a gentleman, quote unquote gentleman. He was ex-military, highly decorated. He was hodgepodging all type of histories together, marched a bunch of people up and down what was that, Stone Mountain, Georgia. Ended up pointing his rifle at the wrong person, and that pretty much changed his life for the rest of his life. My respectful and humble suggestion to those out there in StreamYard, YouTube, social media land, just find your folks. Stop with all this. Just find your folks, because the task force that the federal government put together for identity extremism never disbanded. They didn't send them home. They're still working. They're still collecting a federal check. Find your folks. Thanks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you talking about the dude that go by Professor the alphabet that before K. Yeah, him.
That dude.
Yeah, and it's so funny, right? Because what happened is, I like to watch certain shows and everything and see what their perspective is in weaponry, right? And it was like, hold on, if these people supposed to be ex-military, why are they doing their guns like this and holding like that and not using the proper bullets and not doing? And it's just, it's, I mean, like, they'll never go out on no reconnaissance on the weekends. You know what I'm saying? Because the guys in them putting it out on the video like, no, that's not how such and such and such go. You know what I'm saying? And that's another thing. They don't have that many gun clubs of melanated people with gun clubs like that actually go on reconnaissance and know basically what they're doing. And it's just crazy.
Yeah.
And then another thing is, you went up there to Stone Mountain on the weekend. The people not even much there. So that was a whole nother. All that was a ploy for something else. And people didn't do, let's take that into consideration. So yeah, nah. If you go do something, be with a group of people first of all. But hey, it's just my sentiments. But I'm gonna get off of that topic anyway. But that's the worst thing you can do is be with a group of people, and even in protests. You don't know what the other party is thinking. So why put yourself in that predicament? Like, why? I mean, that's not very smart right there. But hey, who am I? I'm just a dude on the internet.
Nah.
You and me both. That type of behavior, it's gonna bring you nothing but the exact thing you did not want. When they have little black boxes with buttons on them, they push them. You wake up and you in cuffs. Your solution is not gonna come from the gun anymore. It's gonna come from finding your folks, organizing yourselves professionally, finding what treaties you descend from, and moving on smartly. It's not gonna come from all that foolishness.
Right. It's not when you do it, it's how you do it.
Exactly.
And not making up stuff.
Right, because it's gonna show people tell, and we who are a part of real tribal nation, and you got some people that get upset. Oh, you think you're in a tribal nation? You think you're better than me? Nah, the same way I got in a nation, you can do the same thing if you say who you really are.
Mm-hmm.
But even with that, right? It's like, what people fail to realize is that you have people who have went through scholarly and the academia world. They have credentials. They put their credentials and lives on the line with be put in right. And even the things that was written back then, they even trying to right the wrong that was written back then. So they was like, I know I'm gonna get a lot of flack behind that, but certain tribes that y'all say are extinct are not extinct.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They are alive, they are living, they still dealing with their traditional ways. And so if you got somebody that's saying that the Creeks or the Greeks, they're gonna look at you like this guy can't be serious.
Right.
Because furthermore,
That's
the
really
Greeks wasn't even much the Greeks. The Greeks was called Grecos. But hey, who am I? Once again, I'm just an Indian on the internet. I'm not an internet Indian. That's a difference. Why somebody go
clear that up.
I'm an Indian on the internet. I'm not an internet Indian. That's a difference. But hey, they don't know any ignorant shows. But hey, who am I?
I guess people don't have any questions. They're just commenting and they love the session.
Awesome. Hope we didn't bore them.
This is awesome.
But yeah, but go check out my cousin YouTube, you know what I'm saying, and get it in, you know what I'm saying. And I know he's a very good martial artist because hell, we come from line of martial artists. One of our favorite family members had went against the little dragon himself. And the little dragon give him his props too. He said, yeah, you're a champion. You know? So am I right or am I wrong, cuz?
You're right. You on it.
Yeah. Yeah. So
5th degree black belt, is that correct?
Yes. Right. Yes, I got a 5th degree through Kenzanichi BSR and Green Sash and what is it? Guys haven't done that in a while. Jifukan Kung Fu, dealing with animal form Kung Fu, and a 2nd level instructor in the Filipino art. And I got my butt beat and a whole lot of other stuff that I just like. I will go to different schools who I have friends in different places, and you know, you got to know the instructors at these different schools, and you know, you go in there and just grapple. You go in there and spar. So I don't have any belts in jiu-jitsu, but I've sparred against black belts, purple belts, blue belts, and boy, they taught me a lot. It's like a free education. You know, you go in there and spar them, and then you get your butt beat, and you learn from it. Choking you out with a belt or with your own clothes. You know, the first time I got choked out with my shirt, that was an aha moment. Like, damn, he took my collar and cut my breath off. That was awesome. That was interesting. Well, yeah. You know, everything, life is about learning. Life is about learning. Martial arts is not all about kicking and punching. You know, it's about surviving. Everything that you was talking about, Pa, about surviving off the land.
right.
Everything is not just kicking and punching. And then
Right.
these same skills that you learn in the martial arts studio is transferable. You know, especially with the self-confidence and the discipline and everything that it teaches you. Discipline. And it also teaches responsibility. We can't get away from that word. We can't get away from responsibility. As a martial artist, you got to be responsible. You know that you can hurt, you know you can do that, you know certain things that you can do that you shouldn't do.
Responsibility.
Restraint.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And what most people don't know is actually your clothes is a part of your body.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So yeah. Yeah, so you know, but we're gonna have one session where we go specifically deal with the martial arts within itself, you know.
Okay.
So this is prelude to it, you know. So yeah. So thank you and family and them for coming on and sharing information. So we'll have more dialogue in the future. As soon than later.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, when you're not busy, because we know you are about your tribal nation and your community. So whenever you have a second, we welcome you back.
Awesome. And whenever you go live, I'm usually checking you out. Sometimes I can't comment or say anything, but I am listening. I do the same thing with Turtle. Usually when he's live, I'm trying my best to listen because he's got some really good topics. I might not be able to say anything, but I'm listening. Y'all keep doing great things.
Thank you. You too. And your YouTube channel is Wide Awake Radio, W.A.R. Firewalker Big Cat. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And then the other one is Native American Martial Arts. If you plug that in, you'll see our channel pull up.
So now y'all know where to find Chief. Okay, Native American Arts. All right. Yeah, I was gonna try to share my screen. I don't know what's going on right now, but I did include your website on the screen. So Wide Awake Radio and the website is on the screen, everybody. So any final words before we say goodnight? Anybody?
I like to thank y'all for just giving us this opportunity, this platform to come on and share a little bit about ourselves. Y'all have a pretty good show. I like listening to it. So this has definitely been an honor to be a guest, to be amongst the other guests that you've had on here. I hope you keep on. I wish the best for you and that you keep on shooting for the top. Keep climbing, doing great things.
What else?
Thank
Well,
Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
all right. Y'all have a good night.
All right, you do the same. Y'all take care.
you.
All
Take
right.
care.
All right. Till next week. You know, y'all have a good weekend on purpose.
Yes, sir.
All right, y'all. So we reviewed two great Eagle chiefs that we interviewed. This is just celebration of Indigenous History Month, Indigenous History 365. Shout out to all my relations out there.
Yes, all our relations. The relations just not only on tools.
Yeah, right.
So anybody got any questions for us?
Yeah, before we go out of here, because I'm down to, we done been on here almost 4 hours, and
What?
yeah, my
Yeah, that's
battery is
long.
about to go. Yeah, each podcast was almost 2 hours. Each interview. So we once again we thank Miku Seku and Chief Eagle Elk for coming on Southeastern Talking Stick podcast. We appreciate y'all.
It's not gonna be the last time, hopefully. But
Oh,
next
yeah,
week,
when it's meant, we'll have them back.
next week we playing Wale Origins and Seminole
Seminole
Brown.
Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And once again, Wale Origin, he has a book that's out that's called The Blue Fire. You don't want to cop that, you heard me? That's a
Yeah.
must.
Yeah, I
You
gotta
know,
get
so y'all gotta get it. Y'all gotta get it. Gotta get it to you now.
yeah, and
Yo,
make sure y'all check out Seminole Brown, also the
yeah,
Negro
the Stone effigy.
Museum of
Yeah,
G's. He got some stuff that you don't normally see on a podcast. So it's real
yeah,
mind
we
blowing.
come with some unique shit.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Fresh off the press, like
right.
pancakes.
He highlights what our ancestors used to do with the effigies, and it's a whole spiritual thing experience. So yeah, I want to tune in for that next Sunday, 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Southeastern Talking Stick Podcast.
So y'all sure y'all ain't got no
Peace.
questions for me?
Anybody got no questions? Everybody is the numbers done went down. I think the last person I'm trying to figure out was the last person a bot actually. I don't know. I'm kind of playing with the idea that they might be, but um yeah. But I'm out because my battery is about to die, and
All
y'all
right,
can do a rewind and tune in next Sunday for Seminole Brown and
another
Label
recap.
Legends.
Yeah,
Peace.
one, peace.